Chapter 170. After a while, the three of them arrived at the Hutu Divine Palace, the residence of the Grand Wizard Hutu. It was a simple and unadorned hall, surrounded by Taoist rhymes. It was not luxurious, but it was majestic. Its color was the same as the earth's, and the law of earth was manifested. This is a connate spiritual treasure. As they approached the Hutu Divine Palace, Feng Zichen could feel the vast connate qi. He was shocked. That's right. The Hutu Divine Palace is an upper-grade connate spiritual treasure. Back then, the demon tribe set up the heavenly court and wanted to dominate the untainted land. We were furious and prayed to our father god under Mount Buzhou to ask for the power of the earth. After the ceremony, 12 divine palaces descended from the sky. They were all upper-grade connate spiritual treasures. They were ordered by us to suppress the untainted land to show our orthodoxy. It's a pity that although these divine palaces are powerful, they are useless to the wizard tribe except for their symbolic significance. As if sensing Feng Zichen's shock, a voice suddenly came from the Hutu Divine Palace. It was so majestic that it seemed to be able to crush the heavens. It's the Grand Wizard Hutu. Feng Zichen quickly looked at the Hutu Divine Palace. The door of the Divine Palace opened slowly, and a peerless goddess in a yellow palace dress walked out to the crowd. How could it be? He saw Hutu. The heaven-splitting merit in Feng Zichen's body suddenly moved, as if it was going to jump out of his body and fly into Hutu's body. Feng Zichen had expected that the heaven-splitting merit would leave. He even had a vague guess about the destined one. It was the Grand Wizard Hutu. Now, the heaven-splitting merit's behavior had confirmed his guess. Although he was a little reluctant to let the heaven-splitting merit leave, it was not his after all. If he forced it to stay, he would definitely be in trouble. So, he was very open-minded. However, after the merit of splitting heaven moved, it suddenly calmed down and fell into silence again, which puzzled Feng Zichen. Could it be Hutu isn't the chosen one? Frowning, Feng Zichen suppressed the doubts in his heart, bowed and said, "Greetings, ancestor of sorcerer Hutu, from the Zichen clan of the human race." "Greetings, fellow Taoist." After taking a deep look at Feng Zichen, Hutu cupped her fist and replied. With Hutu's cultivation level, how could Feng Zichen's abnormality escape her eyes? It was nothing more than the thick Pangu aura on Feng Zichen's body that made him feel a sense of familiarity, so he did not investigate his abnormality. "Ancestral witch, I have something important to report." Stepping forward, Xing Tian told Hutu everything that had happened recently. True spirit treasure imperial technique. There's actually such a method in this world? I wonder if fellow Taoist can let me take a look at this technique. Turning her head to look at Feng Zichen, Hutu asked. Of course. Nodding his head, Feng Zichen took out a jade slip and handed it to Hutu. What was recorded in it was the True Spirit Treasure Imperial Technique. On his way here, he engraved the True Spirit Treasure Imperial Technique into the innate spiritual jade to make the jade slip according to the legendary jade slip inheritance method. After understanding the usage of the jade slip, Huta's eyes lit up, and she praised Feng Zichen. "Fellow Taoist, you're really clever." "It's just a trivial skill." "I'm sorry to make you laugh, ancestor of sorcerer," Feng Zichen said modestly with a smile. However, at this moment, Hutu had put all her attention on the secret method in the jade slip and had no time to pay attention to him. "Fellow Taoist, you're really a great talent. With this method, the strength of the sorcerer tribe has increased by more than 10%. Fellow Taoist, you can pass down this method in the sorcerer tribe, which is tantamount to great kindness. The sorcerer tribe owes you a favor. In the future, if fellow Taoist needs help, as long as it's not an evil thing to cause chaos in the untainted land, I will definitely help you." After a while, Hutu withdrew her attention from the jade slip and said to Feng Zichen solemnly, "Ancestor of sorcerer, you're too serious." For Feng Zichen, the True Spirit Treasure Imperial Technique was nothing more than a derivative of the divine demon Tao. It was not something important. Being able to exchange this method for a favor from Hutu was a profit for him. However, when Ancestor of Sorcerer passes down this method, can you not mention my name? After all, the demon tribe is powerful and occupies the heavenly court. I'm afraid that after they know about this, they will be resentful and do harm to the human tribe. Suddenly, Feng Zichen thought of something and broke out in a cold sweat. He hurriedly said to Hutu. The Magi were powerful and were not afraid of the demon tribe. However, Feng Zichen did not have that ability. If the demons knew that he was the one who imparted the Dharma formulation to the Magi to activate the connate numinous treasure, it would be terrible. There would probably be no place for him to hide in the world. He would definitely be found by the furious demons and turned into ashes. Even the human race would be affected. There was no need to wait until the battle to massacre humans. They would be destroyed by the demons. That's true. The demons are ferocious. Since they can't attack us, it's inevitable that they will vent their anger on you and harm you. How about this? I'll place this technique in the Pango Hall. If anyone wants to learn this technique, they have to cultivate in the Pango Hall. After that, I'll erase your name so that no one will know who imparted this technique to you. In that case, even if Fushi and Di Jun join forces, they won't be able to deduce any information about you. However, although this method is safe, it's a little inconvenient, fellow Taoist. Understanding Feng Zichen's concerns, Hutu understood that the demons were indeed difficult to deal with. After thinking for a while, she proposed a solution. It's not inconvenient. It's not inconvenient. Feng Zichen waved his hand and said, it would be great if it could be so. He didn't want to be remembered by the demons. In the untainted land, who wouldn't be afraid of being remembered by the demons except for the Magi and the sages? By the way, I heard from Xing Tian that you seem to want some seeds of the connate 5-panicle fruit? Huta seemed to have thought of something and said, yes. This thing is extremely important to the human race. It can save countless lives of the human race. I hope that the ancestral sorcerer can be merciful and give me some seeds to bring back to the human race. Feng Zichen was not exaggerating. When the food crisis of the human race broke out, who knew how many people would die? In that case, I'll make the decision to give you 10% of the harvest of the Hutu tribe this time as seeds. Hearing Feng Zichen's pitiful words, Hutu was moved and said generously, the ancestral sorcerer is merciful. I thank the Empress on behalf of my people. The human race will always remember the kindness of saving our lives today. Feng Zichen was excited and bowed to Hutu. With 10% of the harvest of the Hutu tribe, the seeds needed by the entire human race would be enough if they grew a few times. You don't have to do that. I still have some first-generation seeds in the temple. Now that I don't need them, I'll give them to you. Fellow Taoist, please follow me. With that, Huta turned around and walked back to the temple. Chapter 171. Empress, what's the difference between this first-generation seed and ordinary seeds? Following behind Hutu, Feng Zichen asked with some doubts. Since the innate 5-panicle would not degenerate, then the first-generation seed should be no different from other seeds. Why, from their tone, this first-generation seed seemed to be different. The first-generation seed was born from heaven and earth. It has a trace of the mystery of the great Tao and infinite possibilities. If it is nourished by innate spiritual items, it will produce wonderful changes. Come and take a look. Walking to a corner of the temple, Huta waved her hand, and the void suddenly changed. There was a flash of earthy yellow light. A piece of land the size of an acre slowly appeared in front of Feng Zichen. He could see that the land was full of innate 5-panicle. However, unlike the outside world, the innate 5-panicle here was white. Its fruit was also white, and the will of creation flowed around it. It was a sharp contrast to the innate 5-panicle that was surrounded by the will of the 5 elements that he had seen in the outside world. This is... Raising his head, Feng Zichen looked at Hutu, and he had a faint guess in his heart. This item is called the innate fortune seed. After obtaining the innate 5-panicle, in order to speed up its growth, I planted it in the land of creation and used the power of creation to accelerate its growth. I didn't expect that after absorbing a large amount of creation aura, the innate 5-panicle would undergo a mutation. It transformed from the 5 elements to the creation attribute and turned into the innate fortune seed. After that, I conducted some experiments and found that the first-generation seed of the innate 5-panicle has an extremely strong adaptability. In different environments, it can grow into different young plants. It's quite magical. As Huta spoke, the temple changed again. Pieces of land appeared one after another, and all kinds of innate 5-panicle grew on them. Some emitted Imu Qi, some emitted pure Yang Qi, and some emitted innate Qi. There were a total of 36 kinds, and the innate Tao will lingered in the temple as if it was a Tao realm. Fellow Taoist, after so many years of consumption, there aren't many first-generation seeds left. Now, there are 9 left. I'll give them all to you. Taking out a yellow jade box, Huda handed it to Feng Zichen and said, "Thank you, Empress." Innate earth origin. Feng Zichen's heart skipped a beat as he took the jade box and sensed its heavy aura. This jade box was actually formed from the essence of innate earth. Ancestral sorcerer this is. Before Feng Zichen could finish, Hutu interrupted him. I'll give you this innate earth essence as well. You can use it to improve the earth meridians in the human territory, improve the cultivation environment, and increase the concentration of innate qi. This will make it easier for the innate 5 grains to grow. The innate 5 grain grass has extremely strict requirements for the environment. If there is not enough innate qi, it will definitely not take root and sprout. You must remember this. Thank you for your advice, Your Highness. Zichen will remember it. Opening the jade box, there were 9 5-colored seeds lying quietly inside. They were covered with Tao patterns of the 5 elements, and they displayed the profundities of the great Tao. It was indeed different from the connate 5-spike fruit that Feng Zichen had eaten in the outside world. Your Highness, can I take some of these connate 5-spike fruits as seeds? Looking at the colorful connate 5-spike fruits in front of him, Feng Zichen was a little tempted. If he brought them back to the human race, he didn't know how many talents he could cultivate for the human race and how much strength he could increase. More importantly, they could strengthen the foundation of the human race and prolong the fate of the human race. Of course. Huta nodded and said indifferently. This item had been widely promoted in the sorcerer tribe, and there were many of them. Therefore, even if she gave all the connate 5-spike fruits here to Feng Zichen, she wouldn't feel bad. Knowing what to do, Feng Zichen walked forward and picked 100 of each kind as seeds. Then he stopped. Your Highness, I have urgent matters to attend to and need to return to the human race. If you don't have anything else, I'll take my leave first. After doing all this, Feng Zichen said goodbye to Hutu. The method of controlling spirit treasures had been passed down, and the benefits were in his hands. There was no need for Feng Zichen to stay. It was time to return to the human race. After all, he still had a lot of things to deal with. The pagoda needed to be placed in the Nuwa temple. Otherwise, he would be very uneasy if he kept it in his hands. The connate 5-spike fruits also needed to be distributed to the human race so that they could plant them and benefit the entire human race as soon as possible. After that, he had to visit the white tiger and the black tortoise sages to prepare for entering the Daluo Jingxian. Fellow cultivator, don't worry. I still have some doubts about the method of controlling spirit treasures. I want to ask you for advice. Seeing that Feng Zichen was about to leave, Huta hurriedly stopped him. Advice? Ancestral sorcerer, you flatter me. If you have any doubts, just tell me. Zichen will tell you everything I know. Hutu's cultivation was very high. She was one of the few masters in the untainted land. If people knew that Hutu wanted to ask for advice from him, they would laugh their heads off. Furthermore, at Hutu's level, she would be able to instantly understand the basic principles behind any cultivation art or divine ability, even if she couldn't learn most of it with a single glance. The method of controlling spirit treasures was just a skill. No matter how difficult it was, it could not be difficult for Hutu. She might have other purposes for asking him for advice. Fellow cultivator, I saw that the method of controlling spirit treasures has a unique style and a system of its own. It vaguely gives people a feeling that it is incomplete. Fellow Taoist, you must have a complete true spirit cultivation method, right? Ever since she obtained the method of controlling spirit treasures, Hutu had an inexplicable feeling. It seemed that there was a cultivation path that was different from the mainstream of the untainted land hidden behind this method. This path might be able to affect the entire sorcerer tribe. As time passed, this thought became stronger and stronger. Because of this, when Feng Zichen was about to leave, Huta finally could not help but ask. Feng Zichen nodded and replied, Your Highness guessed correctly. I do have a complete set of true spirit cultivation methods in my hands. The method of cultivating spirit treasures that Huta mentioned was the method of cultivating the Fiend God Path. The Fiend God Path specialized in cultivating spirit treasures and not primordial spirits. Therefore, activating spirit treasures with spirit treasures with spirit treasures was like activating spirit treasures with primordial spirits. It was instinctive and there was no need to cultivate. The method of controlling spirit treasures was deduced by Feng Zichen. Therefore it had a trace of the fiend god path, which was why Hutu noticed it. Fellow cultivator, can I have a look at this method? This method was very likely to be of great use to the sorcerer tribe. Hutu could not hide her curiosity and asked him. Yes, I can. However, this method was created according to the physique of the human tribe. It may not be suitable for the sorcerer tribe. Feng Zichen had no reason to refuse. Not to mention that Hutu had given him so many benefits. Just passing down the fiend god path was beneficial to him. As the founder of the fiend god path, the more prosperous it was, the more benefits he would receive. Chapter 172. It doesn't matter. Give me the method first and I'll see if the Wu tribe can cultivate it. Hutu was very confident about the Wu tribe's ability to cultivate the divine demon path. She had heard of the human tribe before. It was an acquired race created by Nuwa imitating the born Taoism aptitude. The Wu tribe had the blood of Pangu and was born with the Taoism aptitude. It didn't make sense that the human tribe with the acquired Taoism aptitude could cultivate it, but the Wu tribe with the born Taoism aptitude couldn't. Goddess, please take a look. As he spoke, an ancient Taoist seal appeared between Feng Zichen's eyebrows. It emitted a bright purple light and formed a divine picture of the true spirit in the void, deducing the divine demon path. The Path Destroyer. Open another path outside the immortal path. You're so talented. I'm not as good as you. After reading the divine demon path for a long time, Huta came back to her senses and sighed. If she had such wisdom, the Wu tribe wouldn't have been in such a situation and had to share the untainted land with the demon tribe. Goddess, you flatter me. Feng Zichen waved his hand. He didn't dare to accept such praise. This path uses the blood as the foundation and strengthens the born blood step by step. It gives birth to the born indestructible true spirit and transforms into the born divine demon body. It's very suitable for the Wu tribe. However, the highest achievement of this path, Zhouxing, is deeply entangled. It's a bit troublesome. At this point, Huta frowned and said in a slightly distressed manner. The highest achievement of the divine demon path was not to transform into a born divine demon. It was to verify the untainted land with one's own body and reverse everything to cultivate the supreme body of Pangu. Then, one could step into the realm of primordial Daluo Jingxian, who was comparable to a saint. Zhouxing was formed by the spirit of Pangu's acupoints. Their trajectory was a picture of Pangu's meridians. Feng Zichen opened the divine acupoints one by one according to the position of Zhouxing. His purpose was to make his meridians correspond to Pangu's meridians, and use this to reverse engineer Pangu's body, understand the mysteries of heaven and earth, and transform step by step towards him. However, the sorcerer tribe and the demon tribe were mortal enemies. They could not use Zhouxing to cultivate. This was a path that was impossible for the sorcerer tribe. Since they could not cultivate the Pangu's body, the shamans could only settle for the next best thing, which was to awaken the ancestral shaman bloodline and cultivate the ancestral shaman's body. However, in this way, their highest achievement could only stop at the level of ancestral sorcerer. If they wanted to go one step further and become Daluo Jingxian, it would be extremely difficult. The body of ancestral sorcerer could be said to be the body that was closest to Pangu's body in untainted land. If the ancestral sorcerer were to obtain the method to transform Pangu's body, his transformation speed would undoubtedly be many times faster than an ordinary person's. But now, the opportunity was right in front of her, but she could only miss it because of the demon tribe. Naturally, Hutu was very angry, and her impression of the demon tribe became more disgusted. Goddess, the sorcerer tribe is the descendant of the great Taoist priests. Didn't they get the inheritance of the great Taoist priest's Taoist body? Hearing Hutu's words, Feng Zichen was a little surprised. Even if they did not have the inheritance of Pangu's body, it was not difficult for them to comprehend the 12 divine beings killing formation formed by the 12 ancestral sorcerers to condense Pangu's body. But how could the sorcerer tribe not have it? Fellow Taoist, you don't know that the inheritance we got from father only has his body refining method, but not the charm of the Taoist body. So we don't have the inheritance of father's Taoist body. Speaking of this, Hutu was a little helpless. After Pangu incarnated into heaven and earth, his inheritance was divided into 3 parts. The primordial spirit inheritance was given to the 3 pure ones, and the body inheritance was given to the 12 ancestral sorcerers. The charm of his Taoist body was scattered into the new untainted land for all living beings to comprehend. Goddess, The end of the divine demon path is to achieve Panga's body. Cultivating with the help of Zhouxing is only one of the paths, and it is not irreplaceable. Thinking of something, Feng Zichen suddenly said, "Fellow Taoist, what can you do?" Huta's eyes lit up, and she looked at him with shining eyes. "Goddess, you are the ruler of the earth. You can start from Mount Buzhou, follow the flow of the untainted land, find the node of the land, and draw a map of the untainted land. Then, isn't it another map of the great Taoist priest's meridians?" Zhouxing was not the only one created by Panga's aperture acupoints. The numerous spiritual caves in the untainted land and the earth veins were also created by him. Feng Zichen had planned to explore the spiritual caves in the untainted land, record the earth veins, and compare them with Zhouxing, so as to further perfect the divine demon path. But now it was different. As the ancestral sorcerer of earth, Hutu could be called the ruler of the earth. The map of the untainted land drawn by her would definitely be more accurate than that drawn by Feng Zichen. At that time, if he asked Hutu for a map, Hutu would certainly not refuse. In this way it would save him a lot of time. This is a wonderful method. After being reminded by Feng Zichen, Hutu's mind was suddenly filled with countless inspirations. In the blink of an eye, she deduced the feasibility of this method. "Fellow Taoist, I am far less intelligent than you." After coming to herself, Hutu sighed with emotion. Then she bowed to Feng Zichen and said, "Fellow Taoist, I am very grateful for your teaching. Please accept my bow." "No, no. Goddess, you are too kind." Seeing Hutu bow to him, Feng Zichen's face changed immediately. He was so scared that he jumped away hurriedly, not daring to accept this bow. In this world, there was no sage to be bowing to Tai Jingxian. Sage to be was infinitely close to the Tao. Hutu's bow was equivalent to bowing to him with the Tao of earth. Not to mention that Feng Zichen was not a Daluo Jingxian yet. Even if he was a Daluo Jingxian, he would not dare to accept this bow. If Feng Zichen accepted Hutu's bow, he would lose half of his life, half of his luck, and all his blessings. And this was under the condition that he was indebted to Hutu. Otherwise, this bow would have killed him directly. "Fellow Taoist, please forgive me. I was too reckless." At this time, Hutu came to herself. She stood up hurriedly and apologized. "It's okay." After calming himself down, Feng Zichen was still a little scared. It was too funny that he was not killed by the enemy but was killed by the gratitude of others. "Fellow Taoist, please accept this token." With an apologetic smile, Hutu took out a token and handed it to Feng Zichen. The token was purple like a purple jade. It was glittering. On the front, the word Hutu was engraved, and on the back, the word Wu was engraved. Both of them were innate Taoist inscriptions. They faintly revealed the true meaning of the Great Way. They were extremely noble. "This is..." Looking at the token in his hand, Feng Zichen asked doubtfully. "This is the Hutu token, also known as the Ancestral Sorcerer token. It is the symbol of my status. All members of the Hutu tribe are subject to this token, including Daluo Jingxian. Even in the entire Sorcerer tribe with this token, I can mobilize all clansmen except the Grand Sorcerer." Looking at the token, Hutu said solemnly. Chapter 173. In the Pangu Hall, there was a Pangu token, which recorded the Pangu body refining technique of Pangu. The 9 revolutions mysterious method was derived from this method. When the wizard tribe was established, the Pangu token suddenly turned into 12 tokens and evolved 12 body refining techniques, which fell into the hands of the 12 ancestors of wizards. That was the origin of the ancestral wizard token. The 12 body refining techniques were the inheritance of the 12 tribes of the wizard tribe. The ancestral wizard token recorded this method, which could be said to be the inheritance treasure of the wizard tribe. Since Hutu could give it away, she obviously did not treat Feng Zichen as an outsider. "Goddess, this thing is too precious. I can't accept it." Even though he did not know the origin of the token, Feng Zichen knew how precious it was after hearing the function of the token. He did not dare to accept it and hurriedly wanted to return it to Hutu. However, Hutu's cultivation was very high. If she did not want to take back what she had given away, Feng Zichen could not return it. She waved her hand gently, and the Hutu token seemed to grow in Feng Zichen's hand. No matter how hard he tried, he could not get rid of the Hutu token. "My friend, You have passed down the way of the celestial demon. How can the Hutu token repay your kindness? When I finish drawing the map of the untainted land, I will gather the rest of my brothers and sisters to worship Father God in the Pango Hall. I will report to you about your matter and pass down the way of the celestial demon. At that time, you will be the master of all wizards and the master of the wizard tribe. All the members of the wizard tribe will have to call you teacher when they see you to show their respect. Thinking of the importance of the way of the celestial demon to the wizard tribe, Hutu promised Feng Zichen one after another. The way of the celestial demon was based on the congenital bloodline. Every time one advanced to the next level, his bloodline would be further atavistic and constantly strengthened. The strongest thing about the wizard tribe was the Panga bloodline flowing in their bodies. Coupled with the fiend god Dao's ability to purify one's bloodline, this Dao was more suitable for the Magi than for the human race. It was practically tailor-made for the Magi. As long as the sorcerer race changed to the god-fiend Dao, in less than 100,000 years, the sorcerer race's strength would increase exponentially. It would only be a matter of time before they could wipe out the demon race. Feng Zichen's gaze was still fixed on the human race. He intended to connect the Dao of gods and devils with the human race. When the human race became the main character of the world, the Dao of gods and devils would naturally flourish. However, the Lady of Earth was different. Her cultivation level was higher, and her vision was further. She had already covered the entire primordial world. He saw that compared to the human race, the path of the god-fiend was more suitable for the innate races. They were born as connate beings and possessed the bloodline of connate fiend gods. In terms of transforming into connate fiend gods, they had many advantages over the humans who were born as connate beings. Hutu believed that in the face of the Dao of celestial and demon, the connate beings would be more inclined to the Dao of celestial and demon. This was because for the connate beings, transforming into connate fiend gods and becoming Daluo Jinxian was their lifelong pursuit. And the Dao of gods and demons could help them achieve this goal faster than the Dao of celestial and demon. As for being above Daluo Jinxian, that would be something to consider after becoming Daluo Jinxian. Anyway, by then, he would be immortal and indestructible. It was not impossible to change to the Dao of celestial and demon. The Lady of Earth was not without selfishness for thinking so much about the Dao of gods and demons. In the future, when she finished drawing the map of the primordial world, she could use it to modify the cultivation method of the Dao of gods and demons. Besides Feng Zichen, she could open another branch and make the Dao of gods and demons more perfect. At that time, she would be the master of a branch. Her position in the Dao of gods and demons was second only to Feng Zichen, the founder. She could share the fate with him. How could she not care about her own interests? Your Highness, you can make the decision. Feng Zichen thought for a moment and understood why Hutu had promised so many benefits. However, he did not refuse. The fate of the Wu tribe was so great that it would be beneficial for him to improve his cultivation. Even if the Wu tribe declined in the future and their fate fell, he would get enough benefits. He would not lose much. Moreover, with the help of the Lady of Earth to promote the Dao of gods and demons, it would save him a lot of effort. After all, if he were to rely on himself, how would he be able to fight against the Taoism of the celestial sect? The rise and fall of a Dao was not the work of one person, but the result of the efforts of countless generations. As the founder of the Dao of gods and demons, everything about the Dao of gods and demons could not be avoided by him. He could enjoy the fruits of others' work and share part of the fruits of the achievements of his descendants. Therefore, Feng Zichen would not refuse the existence of people like the Lady of Earth who kept expanding the Dao of gods and demons. He could not wait to have more people like her. Okay. Seeing that Feng Zichen did not refuse, the Lady of Earth nodded and smiled satisfactorily. However, although the Dao of gods and demons is good, its drawbacks are too obvious. I wonder if you can find a way to solve it with your wisdom? The Lady of Earth frowned and continued. Success and failure were due to the true spirit. Relying on the true spirit, the cultivators of the Dao of gods and demons could improve much faster than other cultivators. However, if the primordial spirit was damaged, it was not difficult to recover. Once the true spirit was damaged, it was almost impossible to recover if one's cultivation was not at the golden celestial stage. If this was not solved, the cultivators of the Dao of gods and demons would not be able to exert their full strength when fighting with others in the future. In this world, there is no such thing as a perfect cultivation method. Regarding this, I have no solution. The only thing I can do is to suggest that they refine a magic treasure to protect the true spirit. As for how useful it is, it depends on the level of the magic treasure. Fengzi shook his head and smiled bitterly. The drawbacks of the Tao of gods and demons were so obvious. If he had a way to solve this problem, he would have done it long ago. Why would he wait for the Lady of Earth to find out? What you said is reasonable. I am too greedy. Hearing Feng Zichen's words, the Lady of Earth seemed to have understood something. The more perfect it was, the easier it was to be envied by the heavens. Perhaps it was because of this drawback that the Tao of gods and demons could be passed down. Otherwise, how could the heavens allow such a method to reverse the innate gods and demons to exist? My lady, is there anything else? Thinking of the Buddha pagoda, Feng Zichen asked to leave again. Can you leave a keepsake? When I pass down the Tao of gods and demons, I need you to come and witness it in the name of a wizard. Understanding the meaning of his words, the Lady of Earth thought for a while and said, That's true. Nodding, Feng Zichen took out a stream of chaotic qi and condensed it into a piece of black jade. Handing the black jade to the Lady of Earth, Feng Zichen said, My lady, if you need me for anything, you can inject your magic power into this jade. I will sense it. Well, since you have something to do, I will not keep you. This time, I have already prepared 30% of the Lady of Earth tribe's harvest. After you go out, you can go to him directly to get it. After accepting the black jade, the Lady of Earth said. The 10% that was agreed upon earlier had been increased to 30%. Thank you very much, my lady. Zichen will take his leave first. After bowing, Feng Zichen turned and left the Lady of Earth temple. Chapter 174. Compared to the benefits that the Tao of gods and demons brought to the wizard tribe, 20% of the Hutu tribe's harvest was nothing. After leaving the temple, Feng Zichen sensed a little and found Xianxia's aura. He rushed in his direction. Along the way, there were many wizard tribesmen coming and going. All of them were vigorous and had an inexplicable power. They were extremely powerful. So powerful. If the human tribe could have half of the power of the wizard tribe, we would not have to worry about prosperity. Seeing this, Feng Zichen was slightly shocked and could not help but sigh. The wizard tribe was a tribe born from Panga's bloodline. They were the true favored ones and naturally occupied the name of the untainted land. Compared to the other tribes, they were the legitimate successors of heaven and earth. Unfortunately, when Panga's blood essence fell into the untainted land, it was accidentally contaminated with the heaven-opening tribulation qi, causing the wizard tribe to be born with a defect and unable to give birth to a primordial spirit. Under the influence of the heaven-opening tribulation qi, the wizard tribe was brutal and murderous. Therefore, they were not liked by the heavenly Tao. If not for this, the descendants of Panga's bloodline would be the true protagonists of heaven and earth. There would not be any war between the wizard tribe and the human tribe in the future. Fellow Taoist, are you leaving? From afar, Xing Tian felt Feng Zichen's aura. Without waiting for him to rush over, he took the initiative to fly over. That's right. I have something important to do and need to return to the human tribe. I can't stay in the wizard tribe for long. As he spoke, Feng Zichen looked at Xing Tian in surprise. After not seeing him for a while, his aura was stronger than before. Speaking of which, I have to thank you for teaching me the true spirit treasure controlling method. If not for this method, I would not have been able to completely refine the sky punishment axe and improve my cultivation, Xing Tian explained when he saw the surprise in Feng Zichen's eyes. In the past, he had no way. Now that he had the method to refine the spirit treasure, Xing Tian could not hold back. After leaving the Hutu temple, he went into seclusion to refine the sky punishment axe with all his strength. The sky punishment axe had been with Xing Tian for many years and had long been connected to his aura. Under Xing Tian's refinement, he took the initiative to release the innate divine restriction. In just a few decades, it was completely refined by him. It was also at this moment that the pre-celestial spiritium contained within the heaven-punishing axe for many years surged into Xing Tian's body, causing his cultivation to rise from the late Daluo stage to the peak Daluo stage. By the way, fellow Taoist Zichen, here are 30% of the fruits harvested by the Hutu tribe. Please keep them. Xing Tian took out a bead and handed it to Feng Zichen. Thank you, fellow Taoist. Taking the pearl, Feng Zichen cupped his hands and said goodbye. Fellow cultivator, it's an emergency. I can't say goodbye to fellow cultivator Kwafu. Please say sorry to him for me. If that's the case, I'll take my leave. After saying that, Feng Zichen's figure flashed and turned into a purple light. He escaped into the void and disappeared. On the other side, in the Hutu godly palace, not long after Feng Zichen left, Hutu's body suddenly burst out with a powerful true spirit power, which completely activated the power of the godly palace. Rumble! The Hutu godly palace started to shake violently, emitting dazzling divine light. Countless Dharma laws appeared and countless runes flew in the air. A horrifying power spread out and resonated with the other ancestral magi palaces through layers of void. What? How could the ancestral magi palace? In various places in the untainted land, the 11 ancestral magi, including Dijiang and Candle Juin, were affected and woke up from their seclusion. They looked at the ancestral magi palace in front of them, which was shaking inexplicably. Since they had obtained the ancestral magi palace, the ancestral magi palace had been quietly suppressing the untainted land. Today, the sudden change surprised the ancestral magi. Brothers, please come to the Panga palace immediately. While the ancestral magi were surprised, a vast voice came from the ancestral magi palace. This is Hutu's voice? How can she activate the ancestral magi palace? Shocked, the ancestral magi didn't have time to ask why Hutu summoned them. They jumped up into the void and went straight to the Panga palace. When they arrived at the Panga palace, Hutu had been waiting for a long time. Sister Hutu, what's going on? We magi don't have primordial spirit, so we can't activate primordial spirit treasures. Why can you activate the ancestral magi palace today? Before stepping into the Panga palace, the hot-tempered Zhu Rong shouted loudly. Brother Zhu Rong, don't worry. The other brothers will be here soon. I'll explain it to you then, Hutu said with a smile. Among the 12 ancestral magi, Hutu was the latest to be born, except for Xianming ancestral magi. Therefore, Hutu had always called the other ancestral magi brothers. All right. Zhu Rong thought for a while and nodded. He then walked to his own seat and waited quietly. After a while, the rest of the ancestral magi rushed over and gathered in the Panga palace. Brothers, look. Before Dijiang and the others could speak, Hutu stood up and said. She stretched out her hand, and the light of creation flickered in her hand. Ripples appeared in the void, and a figure appeared. It was the true spirit treasure raining technique. Wonderful! This technique replaces the primordial spirit with the true spirit, completely solving the problem of our magi being unable to activate primordial spirit treasures. It's wonderful! The ancestral magi had a high cultivation level. In a moment, they understood the root of this technique and praised it. Sister Hutu, where did you learn this technique? Dijiang asked Hutu after coming back to his senses. With his eyesight, he could see that this technique was not created by Hutu. Brother, this technique was created by the Zichen clan of the human race, and it was also taught by him. Hutu replied. Human race? The human race created by Nuwa. Dijiang asked in surprise as if he couldn't believe it. Yes. Hutu nodded and expressed her affirmation. Hiss. As a postnatal living being, he can do something that we connate god fiends can't do. This person is really extraordinary. His future achievements are limitless. Where is he? I want to see him. This technique is very useful to our magi. I want to thank him personally. After receiving confirmation from Hutu, Dijiang seemed to be extremely shocked. After a long time he sighed. Brother, you can't. Who are you? You are the descendant of Father, the clan leader of the Magi, the lord of the primordial world, one of the two poles of heaven and earth. He is just a postnatal living being. No matter how helpful he is to our Magi, how can you thank him personally? Let's not talk about whether he can accept your bow or not. If this matter gets out, won't people look down on our Magi? We can all go but you can't. Hearing Dijiang's words, Candle Dragon, who was at the side, couldn't help but stand up and say. He didn't have a problem with Feng Zichen, but he simply felt that this matter was inappropriate. Chapter 175. Dijiang was the clan leader of the sorcerer tribe and represented the face of the sorcerer tribe. If he personally came out and thanked a postnatal living being, no matter what the reason was, he would definitely become a big joke in the untainted land if this matter spread out. Those connate god fiends who hated the sorcerer tribe would definitely seize this point and mock the sorcerer tribe ruthlessly regardless of what had happened. One had to know that at their level of strength, it was almost impossible for them to really die. What they wanted, apart from the great Tao, was their face. Therefore, Jianghu absolutely could not go. Even if he went, he could not thank him. Besides, the sorcerer tribe ruled the earth. As the clan leader of the sorcerer tribe, Jianghu was the real ruler of the earth. He had the same status as Jun, one of the two poles of heaven and earth. His bow was much more terrifying than Hutu's. Even a saint would not dare to accept this bow, let alone Feng Zichen. He was afraid that he would be killed by this bow. Let's do as second brother says. Jianghu hesitated for a moment and felt that his actions were indeed a little inappropriate. Big brother, can you make a decision after I finish speaking? Seeing Jianghu and the others like this, Hutu said with some amusement. Yes. Could it be that the human has other methods to pass down? Jianghu heard something else from Hutu's tone and asked. Big brother, look. Hutu smiled and pointed at the figure in the void. Suddenly, the figure suddenly changed. A divine sea appeared and his bloodline awakened. Ain's spirit was born and looked like an ancestral sorcerer. All kinds of things were deducing the Tao of god fiends. This Tao. Looking at the figure deducing the Tao of god fiends, Jianghu was speechless for a long time. The true spirit treasure raining technique had already shocked him a lot. However, the appearance of the Tao of god fiends shocked him. Panga's body proved the Tao with strength. This was the highest pursuit of the sorcerer tribe. At this moment, at the end of the Tao of god fiends, they appeared one by one. The Tao of god fiends pointed directly at Panga's body. Among all the Tao in the untainted land, was there anything more suitable for the sorcerer tribe than this Tao? It was as if this path was specially created for the sorcerer tribe. Big brother, this is the Tao of gods and devils. It specializes in the cultivation of the true spirit. It was created by Feng Zichen. Hutu looked at the absent-minded ancestral sorcerers and told them everything that had happened in the Hutu Hall. Desolate Earth vein map? Very good. What a wonderful idea. This kid's wisdom is far beyond ours. At the very least, we have ruled over the primeval age for countless years and have never thought of this. After listening to Hutu's story, Jianghu could not help but feel ashamed. Come to think of it, ever since he became the master of the earth, he had not made the slightest contribution. His thoughts were not even as good as a postnatal creature. He could not help but feel ashamed to face his father. However, Jianghu was a top-grade medium in the untainted land after all. He adjusted his state in an instant. Then, he turned around and said to the candle dragon beside him, Second brother, can I trouble you to take a look and see how the fiend god Tao will affect the future of our shaman tribe? The candle dragon was the sage of the shaman tribe. He mastered the law of time and often wandered outside of time to explore the secrets in the depths of time. Therefore, he knew some of the secrets of the primeval age better than ordinary people. Also, with the advantage of Panga's bloodline, the candle dragon could capture some images from the future and use them to predict the direction of the future. The shaman tribe did not have primordial spirits and could not communicate with the way of heaven to obtain the secrets of heaven. Naturally, they could not practice the deduction method. That was why the shaman tribe did not know about heaven. However, the way of heaven was flawed, so everything had a chance of survival. Although they could not obtain the secrets of heaven from the way of heaven, it did not mean that the shaman tribe did not have other ways to predict the future. As the controller of the law of time, the candle dragon was responsible for predicting the future for the shaman tribe. Therefore, whenever something big happened that affected the shaman tribe, Jianghu would ask the candle dragon to predict it and make a plan. Yes. After responding, a strange aura appeared on the candle dragon's body. The law of time appeared and the power of time rolled out and swept across the entire area. Buzz, buzz, buzz. As the law of time surged, it seemed to be connected with the way of time, causing the candle dragon's consciousness to sink into time and look into the future. Big brother, with the help of the way of the celestial demons in the future, the shaman tribe will become more prosperous. After a while, the candle dragon's consciousness returned from time and told Jianghu what he saw from the future. Yes, thank you for your hard work, second brother, said Jianghu as he looked at the pale candle dragon. Predicting the future was very taxing on the candle dragon. At the very least, it would take him hundreds of thousands of years of cultivation. Therefore, The candle dragon would not use such a method unless it was something serious. Sister, you did well. With the way of the celestial demons, he deserves to be called the master of the shaman tribe. When the Chaos Ley Line map is completed, I want to see the Zichen clan with my own eyes. I want to see what kind of person he is. As a postnatal living being, he can do things that the celestial demons can't. As for now, I won't see him. I don't want him to be targeted by the demon tribe and be killed. After confirming his guess from the candle dragon, Jianghu made up his mind and said to Hutu. Yes. Hutu nodded and said, when this is done, I will go to Mount Buzhou to survey the ley lines, find the spirit cave and draw the Chaos Ley Line map. Speaking of this, I have an idea. Jianghu's mind moved, and he said slowly. Sister, since you are drawing the Chaos Ley Line map, you will have to travel all over the chaos. Why don't you take the opportunity to record the Chaos Ley Line map and draw a Chaos Ley Line map? Not only that, Gonggong controls all the water in the Chaos Ley Line. He can totally draw a Chaos Ley Line map. Zhu Rong controls all the fire in the Chaos Ley Line. He can also draw a Chaos Ley Line map. The 12 ancestors of sorcerers each control a law of heaven and earth. We can use this to draw a Chaos Ley Line map. By then, we will combine the 12 Chaos Ley Line maps together. We will combine the ley lines, water lines, and terrain into one to form a Chaos Ley Line map. It is a meritorious deed. We have ruled the Chaos Ley Line map for many years. It is not an exaggeration to say that we have not made any achievements. Every time I think of this, I feel that I have failed to live up to the expectations of my father. Moreover, we have a heavy responsibility, but we have not fulfilled our responsibilities. It is inevitable that the living beings in the Chaos Ley Line map will be dissatisfied. It is not a big deal if they are dissatisfied with us. However, if our father's reputation is affected because of this, we will have sinned greatly. Just right, with this great merit, we can establish the status of the sorcerer tribe as the master of the Chaos Ley Line map. We can also stop the mouths of the living beings in the Chaos Ley Line map. Chapter 176. Didn't those immortals of the Celestial Sect of Wonders always say that the Wu clan doesn't know the heavens, that we are good at killing and fighting, and that we are unworthy of being the descendants of the Pangu? I'd like to see what they have to say when the prehistoric geomancy map is completed and the monstrous merit descends. I'll also let the people of the primordial world see who is the orthodox Pangu between the 12 ancestral witches and the 3 pure ones. Inspired by the map of the primordial world, Jianghu had countless inspirations in his mind. He wanted to gather the power of the 12 ancestral witches to look up at the astronomy, observe the geography, and draw a complete map of the primordial world. At that moment, the flow of the primordial world's earth veins was recorded in the Earth Book. The distribution of the primordial world's water veins was recorded in the He Tu and Luo Shu. Everything about the primordial world was recorded in the corresponding connate spiritual treasures. There was no connate spiritual treasure that completely recorded the flow of the primordial world's various veins. If the 12 ancestral witches could really complete the map of the primordial world and draw the first complete map of the primordial world, it would be an unprecedented act of creation. Immeasurable merit would definitely descend. At that time, with the help of merit, the Wu clan would be even more prosperous. They would definitely surpass the demon clan and truly dominate the primordial world. Moreover, this move was in line with the heavens. Once it was done, they would be favored by the primordial world, making the Wu clan's position as the master of the earth more stable, more legitimate, and unshakable. When the immortals of the Celestial Sect of Wonder saw this, they also wanted to praise the great merit. They could not say that the Wu clan was unbearable. Big brother, you're right. Once the map of the primordial world is completed, the primordial world will definitely evolve further and become more stable. It will make it much easier for the Wu clan to suppress the earth. It can also increase the luck of our clan. There are many benefits. Why didn't we think of it before? Jianghu's words were like thunder that resounded in the hearts of the other ancestral witches. It was as if a new world had been opened for them, and they saw a scene that they had never noticed before. Bas! Just as the ancestral witches were discussing, the statue of the Pangu in the Pangu Hall, which was used to carry the Pangu's heart, suddenly trembled. A divine splendor blossomed. It was incomparably gentle like flowing water, permeating the entire Pangu palace. When the light faded away, a picture scroll appeared in front of the Pangu statue. It was overflowing with light and color, and the picture was chaotic. It carried the aura of the beginning of all things, and it was incomparably mystical. What is this? Looking at the picture scroll that suddenly appeared in front of them, the 12 ancestral witches could not help but feel confused. They were very familiar with everything in the Pango Hall. They had never seen this picture scroll before, so where did it come from? Could it be? Thinking of this shocking conjecture, Jianghu hurriedly stepped forward and took the scroll in his hand. Suddenly, everything about the scroll appeared in his mind. Primal Chaos Membrane. Jianghu couldn't help but be overjoyed after learning the origin of this item. The origin of this map was extremely great, and its value was not inferior to a supreme-grade Khanate spirit treasure. In the past, Pango broke the chaos and caused the birth of the untainted land. Although the chaos was broken, there was still a part of it left. It turned into the primal chaos membrane and escaped into the untainted land and disappeared. Unexpectedly, this item was hidden in the Pango Palace and suddenly appeared today. Everyone, this item is called the primal chaos membrane. It was given by Father God to let us use this item to carry the untainted land geomancy map. As soon as Jianghu's voice died away, the primal chaos membrane suddenly shone with brilliant light. It turned into 12 blank picture scrolls and fell into the hands of the 12 ancestral witches. Looking up at the astronomy and overlooking the geography, it became the untainted land geomancy map. Once this map was formed, it was bound to carry the power of the untainted land. However, the power of the untainted land was so strong that it could not be carried by ordinary items. Therefore, Pango's consciousness sensed the changes of the wizard tribe. He captured the primal chaos membrane from the vast untainted land, and sent it to the ancestral witches to help them draw the untainted land geomancy map. Even Father God has given us treasures to help us. It can be seen that this matter is extremely beneficial to the evolution of the untainted land and the development of the wizard tribe. We can't delay any longer. Let's do it immediately. The manifestation of Pango's consciousness made the ancestral witches excited. They sensed the importance of this matter and did not dare to delay. They each said goodbye and left the Pango Palace. After a while, only Jianghu was left in the huge Pango Palace. Phew! After everyone left, Jianghu let out a long breath and a relaxed expression appeared on his face. Ever since the birth of the wizard tribe, the fact that they could not give birth to an essence soul had always troubled him. Now that Xianxia had completely solved it, he could not help but relax and feel happy. At the same time, Jianghu became more and more curious about Xianxia. In order to solve the problem of the wizard tribe being unable to cultivate an essence soul, the ancestral witches had consulted countless mighty figures of the untainted land, but they were helpless. Chapter 177. Perhaps, things are not as troublesome as I thought. Perhaps other changes will happen. Vaguely, Xianxia had a feeling that after the strength of the Magi increased greatly, the demons might not remain the same. One had to know that the great Magi-demon war was decided by the heavenly Tao and promoted by the saints. How could it be changed just like that? Now that the Magi were strong and the demons were weak, the heavenly Tao might secretly support the demons and increase their strength. It was not like the heavenly Tao had never done such a thing. When the demons were established, he had been secretly supporting them to fight with the Magi. Otherwise, how could the early-stage demons be a match for the Magi? Without the secret help of the heavenly Tao, the demons would have long been destroyed by the Magi. Now, the situation of the demons controlling the heavens and the Magi managing the earth was caused by the heavenly Tao. If it was really as he thought, the heavenly Tao would secretly increase the strength of the demons. The demons should not attack a person with deep merit like him, lest they offend the heavenly Tao and lose the favor of the heavenly Tao. Even if they attacked, they had to wait until the matter of the Magi was completely resolved. At that time, he did not know how long he would have to wait. Perhaps, with his cultivation level at that time, he might be able to protect himself. With that thought in mind, Xianxia could not help but relax. He sped up and flew towards the human race. After returning to the human race, Xianxia was anxious about the pagoda. He did not care about passing down the Khanate 5 grains and walked straight into the ancestral temple of the human race. Goddess, when I was traveling in the primordial world, I, Xianxia, happened to obtain a treasure from a demonic cultivator, the Buddha Pagoda. According to the demonic cultivator, this treasure seems to be the supreme treasure of the fiend ancestor. Therefore, I'm afraid and don't dare to make a decision on my own. Please give me instructions, goddess. In the ancestral temple, Feng Zichen took out the Buddha pagoda and placed it on the offering table. He bowed and reported to the statue of Nuwa. Fiend ancestor? Buddha pagoda? In the palace of Empress Hua, Nuwa was sitting on the cloud bed with her eyes closed as if she was in a daze. Suddenly, she heard Feng Zichen's words and could not help but frown. She opened her eyes and looked down. Hiss! What a strong will of death, and what a pure demonic aura! This item is undoubtedly the supreme treasure of the fiend ancestor. In the primordial world, only the fiend ancestor Rahu would have such pure fiend chi. Looking through the boundless void, Nuwa saw the true face of the pagoda. She felt that there were 18 greater worlds behind the pagoda. They were stacked on top of each other, forming a grand world of death. In the depths of the world of death, a strange devil figure was faintly discernible. Its entire body emitted an indescribable aura, and it was suffused with devilish chi. It was extremely ghastly, and it seemed to be describing the supreme path of the devil. This child's ability to stir up trouble is really growing as his cultivation grows. Fiend ancestor Rahu. What kind of person was he? He was a supreme expert of the primordial era, the master of the fiendish Tao. He was a peerless figure who could contend with Tao ancestors. Even I can't figure out his strength, but he dares to provoke him. In this untainted land, who doesn't he dare to provoke? If this continues, he'll suffer in the future. He has to be taught a lesson. Let him suffer a little and learn from his mistakes. Before his strength is insufficient, he should avoid provoking those with great magical powers. Thinking of Feng Zichen's recent actions, Nuwa shook her head and laughed. She wanted him to suffer a little. However, even so, the item of the fiend ancestor was too strange. If he was not careful, he would be in danger of falling into the fiendish Tao. There were many ways to suffer, and there was no need to use the most dangerous method. Nuwa reached out and clenched her fist. An invisible force spread out from her body, crossed the boundless void, and reached the human race's ancestral temple. It brought the pagoda on the offering table to the palace of Empress Hua. I have heard of this pagoda before. It is the most precious treasure of fiend ancestor Rahu. He often carries it with him, and it is his favorite. Fiend ancestor Rahu attained Tao in the primordial era, and he dominated the primordial era. He is a figure of the same generation as Tao ancestors, and his strength is unfathomable. Even I dare not provoke him easily. You are bold to snatch this treasure from the hands of the fiendish Tao cultivators. When fiend ancestor Rahu learns of this, I wonder how much hatred he will bear against you. When the time is right, he will give you a great retribution. Even if you become a Daluo, how can you resist? Nuwa's voice came from the sky. It was vast and lofty, like the sound of Tao. It fell clearly into Feng Zichen's ears, and his heart trembled. I am terrified. Feng Zichen hurriedly bowed down. He revealed a nervous expression and told Nuwa the reason and process of the battle with the 3 fiendish Tao cultivators. He concealed the insignificant matters and told Nuwa everything. At the same time, he also heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Since Nuwa had spoken and taken away the pagoda, it meant that she would take responsibility for this matter. If fiend ancestor Rahu attacked him, she would not sit back and do nothing. Now that she had said it so seriously, she was probably just scaring him and giving him a warning so that he would not cause trouble for no reason. It's good that you know to be afraid. You don't have to worry about the pagoda. In the future, remember to cultivate in peace and not cause trouble. When your cultivation level reaches the level of a great divine ability, you will be able to roam freely in the primordial world. You don't have to have so many scruples. Isn't it beautiful to be free and unfettered? Sure enough, not long after, Nuwa continued. Thank you for your protection, goddess. Zichen will definitely remember what the goddess said. He will not dare to forget it at all. He will definitely work hard to cultivate and strive to step into the realm of a great divine ability as soon as possible. He will not let the goddess down. Feng Zichen felt as if a huge rock had been lifted from his heart. He felt a sense of lightness in his heart as he continued to say beautiful words. Yes. This pagoda belongs to the demon ancestor. I can't tell if he left any tricks in the pagoda. Wait for me to bring this pagoda to the Purple Cloud Palace and ask Master. He and the demon ancestor have been enemies for many years. Thinking about it, they should have a better understanding of each other's methods. They will definitely be able to see something. I can also take this opportunity to ask for some benefits for you. After all, you snatched the pagoda from the hands of the demon ancestor's disciple. It can be said that you have greatly strengthened the reputation of the celestial sect of wonders and dampened the limelight of the demonic sect. As the leader of the celestial sect of wonders, it is reasonable for Master to give you some benefits as a reward. From Nuwa's words, it was not difficult to tell that she was very satisfied with Feng Zichen's answer. She planned to make a trip to the Purple Cloud Palace for him, and ask for some benefits from the great divine ability master. Thank you, goddess. Feeling touched and a little surprised, Feng Zichen bowed to Nuwa again. However, this time, Nuwa did not reply. Feng Zichen waited for a long time, but he still did not hear Nuwa's reply. In his heart, he already understood that Nuwa had probably retracted her consciousness and returned to the palace of Empress Hua. Then, he stood up and walked outside. The matter of the pagoda had come to an end. Next, as long as he arranged the matters of the Khanate 5 tassels, he could continue to visit the 5 element sacred beasts and prepare for his breakthrough to the Daluo Jingxian. Chapter 178. The strength of this demon ancestor Rahu is really unfathomable. He only refined a postnatal treasure, but its power is actually not inferior to a supreme-grade Khanate spirit treasure. Even my cauldron of heaven and earth can't refine a Khanate spirit treasure that is comparable to the pagoda. Placing the pagoda in front of her, Nuwa looked at it for a moment. Feeling the terrifying power contained in the pagoda, she couldn't help but sigh. Then, she stood up and waved her hand to put away the pagoda. Auspicious gas rose under her feet, and auspicious clouds filled the air, carrying her out of the palace of Empress Hua and into the vast chaos. After flying left and right for an unknown period of time, an ancient palace appeared in front of her. It was purple in color and emitted boundless Taoist charm, as if it existed with the heavens and the Tao. Nuwa flew over and saw dense purple gas. Thousands of Daos fell and surrounded the palace, rumbling. There was a purple gold plaque on the door with the words, Purple Cloud Palace, written on it. It seemed to be the achievement of the great Tao, mysterious and unfathomable. This place was the Taoist field of Hongjun ancestor, the primitive Holy Land, Purple Cloud Palace. Disciple Nuwa has something to ask Master. I hope Master can meet me. Nuwa stopped in front of the Purple Cloud Palace. She first bowed respectfully, then stood to the side and waited silently. As for whether Hongjun was willing to see her, she was also a little uncertain. After all, after the 3 lectures of Purple Cloud, Hongjun merged with the Tao. From then on, the way of heaven was Hongjun, but Hongjun was not the way of heaven. Whether she could enter the Purple Cloud Palace today depended on whether the person in the Purple Cloud Palace was her master, Taoist Hongjun, or Hongjun of the way of heaven. Come in. Just as Nuwa was lost in thought, the door of the Purple Cloud Palace slowly opened. An old and warm voice came from inside, waking Nuwa up. This voice was full of emotions, and it was exactly the same as the voice of her master in Nuwa's impression. It was not the cold and heartless voice of the way of heaven. So, how could she not understand that the Hongjun in the Purple Cloud Palace was her master, Taoist Hongjun ancestor? Yes, master. Upon hearing Taoist Hongjun's voice, Nuwa's expression lit up. She hurriedly replied and walked towards the Purple Cloud Palace with light steps. Disciple Nuwa greets master. Seeing Hongjun again, Nuwa was slightly excited. Why have you come to find your master? Taoist Hongjun said with a smile as he gently waved his hand and helped Nuwa up. It's been a while since we last met. Master's realm is becoming more and more unfathomable, Nuwa thought to herself as she stood up. Even with Saint Nuwa's strength, she could not see through Taoist Hongjun's seemingly simple wave of his hand. She was lifted up without any resistance. This caused Nuwa, who had always been incomparably confident in her own strength, to suffer a great blow. At the same time, this also reflected the strength of Taoist Hongjun. It also showed that even in the Saint realm, there were still different levels. Master, I have a junior who obtained a supreme treasure of the demonic Tao from a group of demonic Tao cultivators, the pagoda. He was worried that this treasure was a trap and did not dare to refine it. Therefore, he sent this pagoda to me to let me see what was inside. However, my strength is limited, so I can't see anything. Something that even I can't see through. I'm afraid that other than Master, no one else in the primordial world can see through it. That's why I came to you, Master. Suppressing the shock in her heart, Nuwa took out the pagoda and told Taoist Hong Jun the reason. The pagoda. I didn't expect that the poor Wei would be able to see this item again after the ancient immortal demon war. Previously, the pagoda had been put away by Nuwa. Although Taoist Hong Jun was strong, he could not sense the existence of this treasure under the shield of the saint. Now that Nuwa had taken out the Buddha's pagoda, that familiar aura had appeared once more, and it couldn't help but arouse Taoist Hong Jun's distant memories. For a time, his tranquil expression actually revealed a trace of emotion. Although this treasure is a postnatal cardinal treasure, its power is extremely powerful. Especially after fellow Taoist Luo Ho personally activated it, its power is comparable to a connate cardinal treasure. The will of death surged out and enveloped the entire primordial world, as if it wants to turn this world into a dead zone. Many of the poor Wei's close friends have died under this treasure. Until now, there is no chance of recovery. Among those people, most of them are the leaders of the immortal Tao. They once studied the great Tao with the poor Wei at the peak of Mount Buzhou and established the immortal Tao lineage. It can be said that they are the cornerstones of the immortal Tao and the founders of the current great Tao of the mystic sect. If these fellow Taoists had not died, perhaps the current immortal Tao would be different. Looking at the pagoda, Taoist Hong Jun was completely immersed in his memories as he muttered to himself. Everything he said was a secret of the immortal Tao that no one knew. At the end of the primordial era, the connate ferocious beasts were either killed or chased away. They completely disappeared in the primordial world, and the connate god fiends dominated the rise and fall of the primordial world. From then on, the primordial world entered the era of the connate god fiends. The rings of history moved forward slowly. A brand new chapter opened in the primordial world, and the ancient era began. At that time, there were many things waiting to be done in the primordial world. The connate god fiends had just been born and were ignorant. A group of connate god fiends walked out of the Tao field one after another, and traveled all over the primordial world to preach the Tao to the world. There were no differences between sects or races. The primordial world was peaceful. That should be the most stable and beautiful period since the primordial world was created. There were no battles or conspiracies. There was only a simple heart to pursue the Tao. Everyone discussed the Tao and everything was so beautiful. It was also at that time that a group of powerful connate god fiends called each other fellow Taoists and supported each other. With the same beliefs, they walked together and arrived at the foot of Mount Buzhou. Then, with supreme perseverance, they passed through countless tribulations and experienced several life and death situations and successfully ascended to the peak of Mount Buzhou. There they studied the great Tao together. With supreme wisdom, they gathered the strengths of everyone and established the immortal Tao lineage, setting the cultivation realm for the primordial world. At that time, Taoist Hong Jun was the leader of this group of connate god fiends. This was also the embryonic form of the mystic sect. It was mysterious and mysterious, the door of wonders. The purpose of establishing the mystic sect was to commemorate those fellow Taoists who had passed away. That period of time was the most unforgettable time for him. He had the company of fellow Taoists, confidants, and the great Tao to discuss. It was unlike now, where he was alone in the empty purple cloud palace. Unfortunately, although these connate god fiends had great perseverance and wisdom, they lacked great luck. As a result, they all died in the great immortal demon war. Only Taoist Hong Jun, because he was the first living being born after the creation of the primordial world, had the support of supreme luck and survived the great immortal demon war. From then on, he inherited their unfulfilled wishes and passed down the immortal Tao in the primordial world. Chapter 179. Taoist Hong Jun had repeatedly emphasized that in order to achieve the great Tao, one had to have great luck, great perseverance, and great wisdom. None of the three could be lacking. This was a bloody lesson that he had personally experienced. With the lesson of the past in front of him, how could he not emphasize it? So, the immortal Tao actually has such a past. Nuwa, who was at the side, heard Taoist Hong Jun's muttering. She was shocked, but she also felt that it was natural. The immortal Tao was all-encompassing. There were countless Tao techniques and mystical abilities that contained all kinds of concepts. They were all different, and there was no lack of contradictory words. The group of great mystical abilities had already secretly suspected that the immortal Tao inheritance was so broad and profound. It was not created by one person, but by the wisdom of several people. However, since the Tao ancestor did not say anything, the great mystical abilities did not dare to ask too much, for fear of causing the Tao ancestor's dissatisfaction. Anyway, no matter what the immortal Tao inheritance was, the benefits they received were real and could not be faked. Then, why would they take the risk of offending the Tao ancestor to search for the ethereal source of the immortal Tao? Just as Nuwa was engrossed in listening, Taoist Hongjun suddenly exclaimed softly and stopped muttering to himself. Out of curiosity, Nuwa raised her head and looked forward. She saw Taoist Hongjun staring at the pagoda with a bewildered expression. Fellow Taoist Rahu, he's already here. Why don't you show yourself? After frowning and sizing up the pagoda for a while, Taoist Hongjun suddenly relaxed and said to the pagoda with a teasing expression. What? The fiend ancestor is here. Upon hearing Hongjun's words, Nuwa felt nervous and hurriedly released her spiritual will to scan the surroundings. She only felt that the surrounding void was vast and endless Tao runes filled it. However, she did not find the figure of the fiend ancestor Rahu. While she was puzzled, she saw Taoist Hongjun smile gently and wave his horsetail whisk at the pagoda. A purple stream of light flashed past, and it was incomparably gorgeous. The pagoda suddenly changed. Black gas was emitted, and the aura of death was deep. The demonic aura was strange. The pagoda trembled slightly, and strange demonic patterns appeared on its body. It was frightening and surged into the sky, constantly evolving and interweaving into a supreme demonic shadow. It was the fiend ancestor Rahu. When Nuwa saw this, she was inexplicably shocked. What kind of cultivation did he have? He had already reached the saint realm. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was at the peak of the primitive world. But even so, before Taoist Hongjun made his move, he actually didn't even notice a trace of abnormality. It was only when demon ancestor Rahu appeared that he suddenly realized. The cultivation level of the fiend ancestor Rahu. Just what level had he reached? Furthermore, Nuwa was certain that the demon ancestor, Rahu, was not a saint. He did not have the heavenly Tao aura that only belonged to a saint. In other words, fiend ancestor Rahu was not a saint, but he possessed strength that far exceeded ordinary saints. Such an inconceivable matter was simply beyond Nuwa's imagination. The sage who was supposed to be invincible in the untainted land actually had an enemy. The water in the primordial world is deeper and muddier than I imagined. Even a saint can't see the entire picture. I really don't know what kind of incredible realm the great Taoist priest Panga was in back then to be able to create such a magnificent world like the primordial world. All kinds of thoughts flashed through her mind, but Nuwa did not show any expression on her face. She quietly retreated to the side and came behind Taoist Hongjun, silently watching the confrontation between the two Wuxiang Tao ancestors. Haha. Fellow Taoist Hongjun, since we parted in ancient times, the two of us have never interacted. Today when we meet you have changed a lot. Back then, you were so high-spirited. You led a group of celestial venerables of the celestial sect of wonders and came to the west aggressively. You attacked the ancestral court of the demonic Tao, Mount Meru, and started a world-shocking battle with the demonic Tao. Look at you now. Even though you have cultivated the great Tao and are invincible in the world, because you are in harmony with the heavenly Tao, you can't control yourself. You can't control yourself and stay in the purple cloud palace without freedom. You are far from being as free as me. What's the point of you achieving the Tao? Luo Ho's demonic will hidden in the pagoda was forced out by Hongjun. He was not embarrassed at all. Instead, he laughed loudly and asked sternly, grasping the fact that Hongjun had merged with the Tao and could not be free. That voice was majestic and contained a dense demonic will. It carried a bewitching intent, tempting one's mind, shaking one's Tao heart, and causing one to fall into the demonic path. Wherever it passed, layers of ripples were set off. It was indeed a supreme demonic sound. Haha. So many years have passed, but you haven't changed. You still like to hide in the dark and carry out conspiracies and tricks. You don't dare to show your face and reveal your pettiness everywhere. In the face of Luo Ho's question, Hongjun smiled slightly and revealed a mocking expression. He pointed directly at Luo Ho's actions and mocked. That voice was lofty and vast, like the heavenly sound of the great Tao. Wherever it passed, it was like a breeze blowing past, obliterating all the phenomena caused by the demonic sound. Is that so? Then why don't you think about it, fellow Taoist? If I really intend to hide in the dark, why would I appear here? Before he finished speaking, Luo Ho moved. He raised his right hand slightly, and the shadow of a long spear suddenly appeared. The spear was blood-red and emitted a god-slaying intent that was incomparably ferocious. That was the god-slaying spear, the top-killing treasure of the primordial world. Its power was not weaker than a connate cardinal treasure, and even faintly surpassed it. Without any warning, Luo Ho raised the god-slaying spear in his hand and brazenly stabbed at Hong Jun. The tip of the spear flickered with a cold light, and a bit of blood-red intent appeared. It was incomparably sharp, as if it could pierce through all things. Even the heavenly Tao could not block it. One could see that wherever the tip of the spear passed, the void was silently destroyed, and the great Tao quietly withered. Nothing was left, and everything returned to nothing. Master, be careful. In the face of the sharp edge of the god-slaying spear, even with Nuwa's cultivation, she felt a wave of shock and a sense of danger. She could not help but exclaim, "Don't worry, this is just a small Tao." Shaking his head, Hong Jun waved his horsetail whisk, and the purple cloud palace shone brightly. The sound of Tao reverberated, and 3,000 great Tao manifested, mighty and mighty, destroying the god-slaying spear's shadow. My friend, you fused your body with the Tao and mended the heavenly Tao for the primordial world. You can be said to be merciful. But have you ever considered for the celestial sect of wonders? Fusing one's body with the Tao requires one to follow the heavenly Tao. One day in the future, if the heavenly Tao wishes to prosper the satanic way, at that time, you will need to personally suppress the celestial sect of wonders, so that the satanic way will rise and the Tao will disappear. As the leader of the celestial sect of wonders, what will you do at that time? I hope you will consider it carefully, my friend. Haha. However, just as the 3,000 great Tao was about to blast Luo Ho, he smiled strangely and said to Hong Jun. Then with a boom, Luo Ho's demonic consciousness suddenly exploded, stirring up endless demonic aura that swept through the entire purple cloud palace. However, Luo Ho knew very well that with just a demonic consciousness, he was no match for Hong Jun. Either way, he would be annihilated, so he simply played with his own unique skill, self-destruction. He did not seek to hurt Hong Jun. It was good enough just to fill him up a little. Chapter 180. There are countless talents in the celestial sect of wonders, and there is no need for the poor way to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it, and you don't have to worry about it either. You should be more concerned about the demonic path. As one of the top orthodoxies in the primordial world, the celestial sect of wonders has 6 saints and 3,000 quasi-saints guarding the primordial world. As for the demonic path, other than you, the rest are not worth mentioning. Don't you feel ashamed that no one in such a large orthodoxy can support the sect? Hong Jun raised his hand and extinguished the demonic aura that filled the purple cloud palace. He did not care if Luo Ho could hear him and spoke slowly to the empty void in front of him. After a long time, thinking about what Luo Ho said, Nuwa asked worriedly, "Master, will the celestial sect of wonders decline in the future as the demon ancestor said?" As one of the 6 saints of the celestial sect of wonders, their luck had long been connected to the celestial sect of wonders. If the celestial sect of wonders weakened, their luck would also decline. Although they would not fall from the position of a saint, they would still be greatly affected. Nuwa could not help but worry. The Tao of the world has its own logic. The celestial sect of wonders upholds the heavens, and it is also within this logic. It is difficult to escape the calamity of decline. Counting starts from 1, stands at 3, forms at 5, flourishes at 7, and is at 9. Therefore, when the 7th saint of the celestial sect of wonders is born, the celestial sect of wonders will prosper to the extreme. After that, if the celestial sect of wonders has a new saint, it will decline from the peak of prosperity until the 9th saint is born. At the same time, the luck lost by the celestial sect of wonders will flow into the demonic path, causing it to prosper continuously, forming a situation where the demonic path increases and the Tao decreases. However, under the heavenly Tao, there are 9 purple clouds in Hongmeng, and the celestial sect of wonders occupies 7. At most it can give birth to 7 saints. Even if he is a person, with the remaining 2 purple clouds in Hongmeng, he can only be considered a primordial saint, not a saint of the Celestial Sect of Wonders. Therefore, the Celestial Sect of Wonders will not have the worry of decline. Taoist Hongjun smiled as he stroked his beard. With his shrewdness, how could he not have calculated this point? How could he have let the Celestial Sect of Wonders suffer such a calamity? As early as when he first became a saint, he had already arranged everything, leaving only 7 saint positions for the Celestial Sect of Wonders to avoid the path of prosperity and decline. Master's foresight. This disciple admires you. Thinking of Hongjuan's arrangement, Nuwa could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. The more prosperous the Celestial Sect of Wonders was, the greater the benefits they, the saints, would receive. It would be great if they didn't decline. However, nothing is absolute. If the Celestial Sect of Wonders does not cultivate merit and kills recklessly, causing chaos in the primordial world, no matter how much luck we have, it will not be enough. At that time, the Celestial Sect of Wonders will lose its Tao and be punished by the heavens. Although it will not be exterminated, the heavenly Tao will also support the demonic Tao and use it as a calamity to block the Tao and eliminate those with deep roots. Thinking of the current momentum of the Celestial Sect of Wonders, Hongjun could not help but feel a little worried. As the 3,000 guests of the Purple Firmament successively attained the Tao and passed down their Tao teachings, the disciples of the Celestial Sect of Wonders could be said to have spread throughout the primordial world. However, if there were many disciples, it would naturally be impossible to do everything. It was inevitable that there would be some good and some good disciples. Over the years, it would lead to resentment in the primordial world, and there might be changes. This matter had to be guarded against. Master, there is no need to worry. With the 3 senior brothers in charge of the primordial world, the Celestial Sect of Wonders will not cause any trouble. Even if there is trouble. Thinking about it, with their strength, it will be easy to suppress them. Nuwa did not care much about Hongjuan's worry. Firstly, she did not establish a sect, and secondly, she did not have any disciples. This matter did not affect her much. If there was a need to worry, it would be her senior brothers who were worried. There was no need for her. That's true. Hongjun Taoist thought about it and agreed. With the 3 pure ones working together, how many people in the primordial world could defeat them? He might not be their opponent even if he did not borrow the power of the heavenly Tao. Master, there is one thing that I do not understand. That demon ancestor Luo Ho is not a saint, but he has strength that far surpasses mine. Why is that? Nuwa was very puzzled about this. A saint could borrow the power of the heavenly Tao and was invincible in the primordial world. Therefore, only a saint could deal with a saint. Demon ancestor Luo Ho was really a variable. That Luo Ho is the reincarnation of the demon god of chaos. I don't know what means he used to escape from the hands of the great Taoist priests of Pangu, and reincarnated into the primordial world. His strength is unfathomable. However, you don't have to be too worried. As long as you are still in the primordial world, with the help of the heavenly Tao, he will not be your opponent. But once you leave the primordial world, with your current strength, you will not be his opponent. Saints were the guardians of the primordial world. Even if Nuwa did not ask, Hongjun would find an opportunity to tell her such a secret that was related to the safety of the primordial world. Now that Nuwa took the initiative to ask, Hongjun naturally knew everything and did not hide anything. Demon god of chaos? Although Nuwa had some guesses about Luo Ho's identity, she only thought that Luo Ho was the flesh and blood of a demon god. She never thought that Luo Ho's origin was so great that he was the reincarnation of a demon god of chaos. I understand. If there is nothing important, I will not leave the primordial world. Knowing that Hongjun deliberately pointed out that she was not Luo Ho's opponent if she left the primordial world and was worried about her safety, Nuwa quickly said. With her strength at her level, how could she not be curious about the legendary primordial world outside the primordial world? In secret, Nuwa had already sent out doppelgangers to explore the primordial world outside the primordial world several times. Now that Hongjun suddenly reminded her, Nuwa could not help but feel afraid. If she went to the primordial world outside the primordial world so rashly, it was difficult to guarantee that she would not be attacked by Luo Ho. At that time, Luo Ho and the other demon gods of chaos would join forces and attack her from both inside and outside. She was afraid that she would suffer a great loss. Yes. It's good that you understand. As for that junior of yours, you don't have to worry. Luo Ho is a demon ancestor after all. He has to care about his face and will not attack the junior personally. Thinking about it, that junior of yours could snatch the Buddha pagoda from the hands of the demon Dao. Under the circumstances that Luo Ho does not attack, the demon Dao should not be able to do anything to him. Nodding his head, Hongjun Taoist changed the topic and pulled back to the purpose of Nuwa's visit. Zichen's strength is not bad. As long as it is not a demi-saint, there should be no problem. Thinking of Feng Zichen's current strength, Nuwa was relieved. This matter was resolved. Master, Zichen snatched the Demon Dao treasure from the hands of the Demon Dao cultivators and greatly strengthened the reputation of the Celestial Sect of Wonders. As the leader of the Celestial Sect of Wonders, shouldn't you show some appreciation and reward him? Rolling her eyes slightly, Nuwa said. She intended to ask for some benefits for Feng Zichen. Nuwa did not establish a sect or accept disciples. As the human race that she created with her own hands, the human race was one of the few forces in her hands and also the closest force to her. And the human race was naturally close to her. Therefore, how could Nuwa not consider the human race? After all, the stronger the human race was, the greater the benefits she would receive. Chapter 181. You! Pointing at Nuwa, Taoist Hongjun smiled and shook his head, saying, that makes sense. With such a junior in the Celestial Sect of Wonders, as the leader of the Celestial Sect of Wonders, the poor Wei can't not reward him. Let's let the poor Wei see what this kid's cultivation is and what treasures the poor Wei has that are suitable for him. As he spoke, Taoist Hongjuan's heart stirred and he looked down. His gaze was like a mirror, reflecting the entire primordial world and taking in everything. It was as if there were no secrets in the entire world in front of him. In an instant, he found Feng Zichen in the western part of the primordial world. The first time he saw Feng Zichen, Taoist Hongjuan's heart throbbed. It was as if the person in front of him was related to the future of the primordial world and had many secrets, which made him very surprised. Interesting. This kid is very interesting. Taoist Hongjun had not seen such an interesting person for many years. He could not help but be interested. He immediately used his abhijna and peeped at Feng Zichen, wanting to explore his secrets. Who was Taoist Hongjun? He was the real #1 person in the primordial world and was closely related to the heavenly way. In the primordial world, who could escape his prying eyes? Under his abhijna, Feng Zichen's secrets, except for the merit of creation and Hongmeng Daozhong, were covered by Panga's power. Taoist Hongjun could not see through them. The rest, such as the Ziwei star, the world tree, and the divine path of incense, could not hide from Taoist Hongjuan's eyes and were all discovered by him. This kid is really lucky to be able to gain the favor of the great Taoist priests Pangu. The poor Wei can't be stingy. After thinking for a while, Taoist Hongjun reached out and grabbed. The chaotic gas in the outside world suddenly boiled and gathered continuously, turning into a ball of chaotic essence and flying into the purple cloud palace. Subsequently, Taoist Hongjun took out a green pearl that was sparkling and glowing. It was coiled with Dao runes and emitted the power of the innate wind spirit. This boy is highly favored by the great Taoist priests. In the future, if he has another opportunity, he will have great merits. You don't have to worry about him. On the other hand, is there anything you don't understand about cultivation? Now that I'm free, I'll ask you everything. Taoist Hongjun waved his sleeves and knocked the green pearl and the essence of chaos flying toward him into the wilderness. Then, he turned around and said to Nuwa, who was standing next to him. Yes, Master. Nuwa's face lit up with joy. The Sage Realm was already the peak of the Great Path. Every step forward was extremely difficult. With someone leading the way, it would save her a lot of time and energy. Taking a step forward, Nuwa hurriedly voiced her doubts about cultivation and asked Taoist Hongjun. After coming out of the ancestral temple, Feng Zichen immediately began to arrange the matters of the innate 5 panicles. By the time this matter was settled, it was already 500 years later. After that, Feng Zichen did not have time to rest. He hurriedly set off to the extreme west to visit the White Tiger sacred beast. The White Tiger tribe belonged to the lineage of beasts. Therefore, most of the tribesmen lived in the holy land of beasts. Only the White Tiger was solitary and lived alone in the extreme west. Otherwise, Feng Zichen would have paid his respects to the white tiger when he was in front of the Kailan ancestor. He would not have had to go through so much trouble and go all the way to the extreme west. One should know that the west was not a good place. It was a real barbarian land that was despised by the eastern cultivators. Even if there were 2 sages there, no one would be willing to go there unless they had no other choice. Feng Zichen did not speak along the way. He used his supernatural powers and drifted out of time and space, heading straight to the west. Rumble. When he passed by a certain place, the surrounding time and space suddenly turned blood red. A sea of blood appeared and stretched as far as the eye could see. Huge waves surged and rolled over. His ears were filled with the sound of raging waves. Is this the legendary Nether Blood Sea? Stopping and looking at the magnificent sea of blood in front of him, Feng Zichen sighed. Then, he turned around and flew to the side without hesitation. The Sea of Blood was a prehistoric and dangerous place. There were no fish and shrimps, birds and insects. All the evil chi of heaven and earth gathered here. There were also countless remnant spirits gathered here. It was a big filthy place in heaven and earth. It was easy to go in, but difficult to come out. Therefore, Feng Zichen planned to go around this place and hurry on his way. Carefully bypassing the Sea of Blood, Feng Zichen continued on his way. Not long after, he arrived at the junction of the east and the west. He saw that the earth energy here rose and the clouds were steaming. The palace was extremely purple and the towers were ethereal. There were few people in the clear void, but the Tao heart was born in silence. One could not see the majestic wind of morality. It was indeed a residence of the immortals. Wu Zhuangguan? Then, after passing this place, the west is in front. Through a layer of dense qi, Feng Zichen could vaguely see that in front of the Taoist temple, there were 3 words Wu Zhuangguan, written in a congenital Tao pattern book. So, how could he not understand that this was the Taoist temple of the prehistoric great medium, Zhenyuanzi? Zhenyuanzi was born as a top-level innate divine demon. He was born with the supreme-grade innate spiritual treasure, the Earth Book. His original body was suspected to be one of the top 10 innate spiritual roots, the ginseng fruit tree. His strength was unfathomable. Among the 3,000 guests of Purple Clouds, he was also one of the top great medium below the saints. His Taoist temple was located at the junction of the east and the west. He used the ginseng fruit tree to suppress the earth and the Earth Book to comb the earth veins and control the surrounding environment to prevent the bad environment of the west from spreading to the east. With his own strength, he blocked the ruined air of the west. It was not for his own sake, but for the good of the east. Therefore, the group of great mystical abilities of the east was very respectful to him, and respected him as the ancestor of the earth immortals. Zhenyuanzi also relied on this merit to have endless fortune. There were no disasters or tribulations. He was really carefree. The number 1 blessed perfected immortal of the primordial world was a person who had obtained the Tao. After looking at the Wu Zhuangguan for a while, Feng Zichen landed on the cloud and walked forward. Zhenyuanzi had contributed greatly to the east. All the living beings of the east, regardless of whether they were connate or postnatal, had received his kindness. Passing by the Longevity Mountain, riding a cloud or walking in the void was disrespectful. It was better to walk on foot to show respect. Although the Longevity Mountain was far inferior to Mount Buzhou and the Kunlun Mountain, it was still a top famous mountain in the primordial world. It had its own mystical abilities. As the saying goes, the universe in one's sleeve is huge, and the sun and moon are long in a pot. The Longevity Mountain did not look big and was only 100,000 feet tall. However, Feng Zichen walked for hundreds of years before he walked out of the range of the Longevity Mountain and arrived at the west. Facing the direction of the Wu Zhuangguan, Feng Zichen first bowed and rode a cloud towards the west pole. Hiss! The great immortal fiend war at the end of the ancient times was really terrifying. It's been so long. Not only has the environment of the west not been alleviated at all, but it has become even worse. After walking for a few days, Feng Zichen could not help but sigh. Ever since he stepped into the Western world, the further he went from the east, the thinner the connate qi became. It was difficult to find spirit meridians and living beings within 5,000 kilometers. The earth qi was chaotic, and the earth meridians were broken into pieces, producing filthy qi that continuously worsened the bad environment of the west. Chapter 182. This, pausing slightly, the Hongmeng immortal light appeared on Feng Zichen's body and extinguished the fiendish qi that suddenly surged out from the ground. Whoosh! Feng Zichen did not know what he had stepped on, but suddenly, gusts of cold wind blew around him, and the sound of ghosts crying and gods howling could be heard. It was extremely mournful. Incomparably dark innate fiendish qi surged out from the ground and floated in the air, forming strange fiendish shadows. They had strange shapes and made horrifying sounds from their mouths as they pounced on Feng Zichen. What is this? Although he was surprised, Feng Zichen's movements were not slow. The Hongmeng immortal light on his body flickered non-stop. Before the fiendish shadows could reach him, they were smashed into flying ashes and disappeared. However, the innate fiendish qi seemed to be endless. It kept surging out from the ground, causing more and more fiendish shadows to appear. They were densely packed and completely surrounded Feng Zichen. There was no way to kill them all. Kill. What? Displeased, Feng Zichen wanted to activate the laws of heaven and earth to destroy this place. However, after sensing for a while, he found that the laws of heaven and earth here were very different from those in the east. It seemed to be covered by a layer of gauze, hazy and unreal. The connection with him was also intermittent, causing its power to be greatly reduced. The mental energy consumed was also several times more than in the east. No wonder the experts in the east looked down on the west. The cultivation environment here is so bad that it is far inferior to the land of the east. What kind of virtuous person can be born here? Calming his mind, Feng Zichen mobilized all the Dharma power in his body and forcibly activated the laws of heaven and earth. In an instant, the sky changed color, the void shook, and the power of the great path rolled in, flattening the surrounding thousands of miles. Countless fiendish shadows disappeared, and the world suddenly became clear. Speaking of which, the environment in the West should have improved a lot after the two sages attained Tao here. Even so, this place is still so bad. I really wonder what the West was like before Zhuan Ti became a sage. I'm afraid it was full of tribulation qi and fiendish qi, and all living things were extinct. Looking at the messy land, Feng Zichen sighed softly and summoned the merit spiritual light. He separated a trace of it from his body. With a gentle pinch, he crushed it, turning it into tens of thousands of golden light spots and sprinkled in the void. In an instant, the merit qi descended from the heavens, formed a dazzling golden rain, covering thousands of miles. The merit qi, the earth qi returned to normal, and the earth was unimpeded and qi was unimpeded. Spiritual veins appeared, and a bit of green appeared. All living things grew, displaying a scene of exuberant vitality. The spirit qi, spiritual qi, and qi. And the qi and qi, qis. It of qi of it, qi of qi. Qi is qi of qi. Looking at the resentment, Feng Zichen frowned. Under the destruction of the resentment, it wouldn't take long for this newly born spiritual land to be completely destroyed and return to its previous state full of murderous aura. This resentment came from the destruction of the Western ancestral veins. It contained the curse of the Western ancestral veins. It constantly destroyed the vitality of the Western ancestral veins, making it impossible for them to recover. Back then, the fiend ancestor Rahu was no match for the Tao ancestor Hongjun. Unwilling to accept defeat, he self-detonated, destroying the entire West, including the ancestral veins. Because of this, Taoist Hongjun had formed a huge karma with the Western sect. He had no choice but to give 2 of the 6 holy positions to the 2 from the Western sect to resolve this karma. The earth veins of the West produced endless innate qi to nourish the living beings of the West. However, the living beings of the West did not think of repaying the kindness. Instead, they destroyed it for no reason. Naturally, they were filled with resentment. Since the seeds of evil had already been planted, it was only natural that they would bear the consequences. Because of this, the earth veins in the West were overflowing with resentment. Boundless aura of death swept out and spread throughout the entire West, destroying all life in this area and causing all living beings to disappear. This resentment couldn't be resolved. Saints couldn't, and Feng Zichen couldn't either. If there was a way to resolve it, Taoist Hongjun would have restored the earth veins in the West countless years ago. Why would he pay the price of 2 holy positions to resolve this karma? The holy positions of the 2 from the Western sect were obtained by relying on the karma of the destruction of the earth veins in the West. It can be said that they are closely related to the land of the Western sect. If they want to continue to become stronger, they have to consider the land of the Western sect, TSK. In this way, the two saints of the Western sect are really working hard. After the other four became saints, they have been living freely. Only they are getting more and more tired. They have to constantly plan for the entire Western sect. I wonder if they will regret it? After thinking about the process and reason of the two from the Western sect becoming saints, Feng Zichen felt that it was getting more and more interesting. The holy positions were related to the land of the Western sect. In order to become saints, they had borrowed immeasurable merit from the heavenly axiom. It could be said that they were in debt. In order to repay their debts, when the other saints were talking about the Tao and cultivating in seclusion, they were thinking and constantly calculating. In order to prosper the Western sect and revive the land of the Western sect, they had to carefully plan. They didn't have a moment's free. It was really hard. Forget it. What does the affairs of the saints have to do with me? With their cultivation, how can I guess what they are thinking? Who knows? Maybe they will enjoy it. After sorting out his emotions, a purple cloud appeared under Feng Zichen's feet. It lifted him up and rushed to the land of the Western sect. As for the changes in this place, he had already done his best. He even used merit. It could be said that he had done everything he could. If there was no effect, it couldn't be blamed on him. The speed of the purple cloud was extremely fast. It traveled 1,000,000 miles in a breath. Feng Zichen was carried by the purple cloud. It was like a purple light streaking across the sky. Wherever it passed, a long purple mark was left in the air. What's going on? Why is the connate chi in the surroundings getting denser the deeper I go? After flying west for another few decades, Feng Zichen suddenly felt that the surrounding environment had changed greatly. It was completely different from before. The deeper he went, the denser the connate chi was, and the more active the laws of heaven and earth were. It was not much worse than the ordinary Eastern spiritual land. He estimated that if he went forward for a while, he would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the ordinary Eastern blessed land. So I'm almost at Mount Meru. No wonder the cultivation environment suddenly became better. The Saint's dojo is no small matter. From afar, Feng Zichen saw a treasure mountain. The mountain seemed to be the center of the world. It was immeasurably tall, immeasurably big, and emitted immeasurable light. It was made of gold, silver, glass, and glass. Around the treasure mountain, there were countless phantoms of gods and demons. The sound of Sanskrit was endless. The void was full of golden lotuses. They swayed with the wind and emitted bursts of fragrance. The mountain was so magnificent. It was the #1 holy land in the Western sect, the former headquarters of the demon sect, the current Western sect ancestral court, Mount Meru. Chapter 183. After the great immortal demon war, Mount Meru, as the headquarters of the demon sect, was at the center of the battlefield. Naturally, it was severely damaged and almost collapsed. However, Mount Meru was the first divine mountain in the West after all. It was favored by the creation of heaven and earth and gathered the endless luck of the West. It contained all kinds of creation and gave birth to countless mysteries. It was the last vitality of the West. In the Great Evolution, the heavens used 49, and one escaped. Thus, all living things have a chance of survival. However, Mount Meru should not be destroyed. Therefore, the heavenly Tao sent all the remaining creation of the West into Mount Meru to repair the damage to Mount Meru. After that, there were also people who proposed to the world and tried their best to manage Mount Meru. After countless years, when they finally became saints, the atmosphere of Mount Meru was no weaker than the 36 grotto heavens and 72 blessed lands of the primordial world. Alas! The West is really troublesome. Seeing Mount Meru, Feng Zichen did not dare to be so ostentatious. He sighed and quickly pressed the cloud to hide his aura. He rushed to the other side on foot, intending to bypass this place. Before he reached the West Pole, Feng Zichen encountered the Taoist field of the 4 great mediums. In order to avoid trouble, he had to spend a lot of time and take a detour. It was really annoying. However, he could not do it a third time. The 2 great mediums in front did not care about Feng Zichen, but the 2 saints on Mount Meru were different. Now that the Western sect had just been established, they were in need of people. However, the Western sect was sparsely populated, so they did not have enough manpower and could not find talents to support them. The two saints were worried about this. At this time, Feng Zichen, such a talent, took the initiative to come to their door. How could Yuan-Ti let him leave so easily? Senior brother, the West is not as much as the East. I spent 10,000 years traveling all over the West, but the creatures I saw were less than 1/10,000th of the East. Moreover, most of these creatures were tainted with innate evil spirit and became violent and murderous. They were fierce and full of karma. They had completely lost their nature and were no different from ferocious beasts. Those who can still maintain the clarity of the spiritual altar are less than 1/10,000th. There are very few talents among them, and those who can stand shoulder to shoulder with the East can be counted with 2 hands. If that's the case, how can the Western sect prosper? How can we restore the glory of the Western sect? Let alone stand shoulder to shoulder with the East. On Mount Meru, Taoist Yuan-Ti looked at the few Western sect disciples below and could not help but frown. He complained to the Taoist beside him. Junior Martial brother, in my opinion, the West's opportunity to prosper lies in the East. The East is a land of outstanding heroes, rich in treasures, and powerful experts. Geniuses are as numerous as carps crossing the river, emerging in an endless stream. If we can get through 1 or 2 of them, we can strengthen the Western sect's foundation. However, the people of the East only know the Tao of the 3 pure ones. They don't know the Tao of the West. We will personally head to the East and impart our Western techniques. We will open the door to the Western paradise and bring in the fated ones. The guiding Taoist's eyes flickered with the sparks of wisdom as if he had seen the unfathomable future. Alas! Senior Martial brother, this method is obvious. How can I not know? It's just that the 3 pure ones and Nuwa are in the East, and the Witch clan and the Demon clan are eyeing covetously. As people of the West, if we rashly go over to impart the Tao, I'm afraid we will arouse their hostility and be targeted by them. At that time, the 2 of us will be chased out of the East. It's a small matter to lose face. If word gets out that the Western techniques are inferior to the Eastern techniques, how can we have the face to impart the Tao in the East? In that case, how can the people of the East give up the Eastern strong Tao and go to Mount Meru to learn the Western weak Tao? Shaking his head, Taoist Yuan-Ti sighed. How could he not know that if he could extradite a large number of Eastern elites, the Western sect would definitely develop quickly? There was no need to worry about not prospering. However, there were many great mystical abilities in the East and they were unusually xenophobic. As people of the West, the 2 of them were despised by the great mystical abilities. It was impossible for them to integrate into them. They could not defeat them, nor could they integrate into them. The 2 of them could only stare helplessly at the countless elites in the East. Some rose, some fell, and some disappeared into the crowd. They could only sigh helplessly. Although Junior Brother's words are reasonable, Junior Brother has forgotten that there are so many elites in the East. How can the 3 pure ones take care of everything and take everyone under their wing? In the end, there will be some fish that escape the net that they will not notice. And these people are our targets. With a mysterious smile on his face, the Taoist guide said confidently. It was obvious that he had planned everything out. Wonderful, this method is wonderful. In that case, there is no need to worry about the prosperity of the Western sect. Senior brother, you are wise. I am far inferior to you. Feeling happy, Taoist Yuan-Ti stood up and said to Taoist Jianghu with admiration. Junior brother, you don't have to do that. Your wisdom is not inferior to mine. It's just that your personality is too impatient. As a result, you are often confused by the things in front of you. You can only see the surface of the problem and can't touch the root. This is very bad. You need to change your impatient temperament. If this continues, junior brother, you will suffer a huge loss sooner or later. Seeing Taoist Yuan-Ti's current appearance, Taoist Jianghu frowned and could not help but warn him. Yes, senior brother. Junior brother, I will remember. Taoist Yuan-Ti stopped smiling and returned to his bitter and vengeful look. He solemnly promised. It's good that junior brother knows. What is that? There are actually outsiders in the Western sect? Nodding, Taoist Jianghu was about to continue lecturing when he suddenly sensed something. He could not help but exclaim softly and look forward. He saw an auspicious cloud rise in the distance. It was colorful and filled with thousands of rays of light. It was accompanied by auspicious gas. There were 5 element sacred beasts hidden in it. They were faintly discernible and looked very noble. That cloud appeared quickly and disappeared just as quickly. In less than an instant, it disappeared completely from the western lands. If not for the fact that Taoist Jie Yin's cultivation level was high and had reached the peak, it would probably be difficult for him to detect it. When the people of great virtue travel, they are accompanied by 5 colored auspicious clouds, auspicious beasts, and the protection of gods and fiends. The scenery is myriad and can be seen from thousands of miles away. The person who came has such an aura. He must be either a Taoist or a true cultivator of great virtue. Moreover, we just thought that the Western sect is short of manpower and this person came uninvited. Senior brother. He is fated with the Western sect. Noticing the auspicious cloud, Taoist Xianxia's heart skipped a beat and he said with a happy expression, "That's right. The people of the East have always looked down on the Western sect. They think that the Western sect is poor and rarely come here. Even if we become saints, we have never seen people from the East come to visit." Chapter 184. This person is the first to come to the Western sect after we became saints. He should be fated with the Western sect. Jie Yin said with a smile. Senior brother, wait for me to bring this person over and teach him the Western sect's techniques to strengthen our sect. After bowing to Jie Yin, Taoist Kundi's figure flashed and disappeared from Mount Meru. He went outside to look for Feng Zichen. After recognizing that it was Mount Meru in front of him, Feng Zichen did not dare to stay for long as he was worried that he would offend the 2 Western sages. He pressed down on the cloud and quickly walked to the other side. However, he only walked for a few days before he saw a golden light appear in front of him. It enveloped a radius of 10,000 miles. The sound of Sanskrit chanting sounded in the void. It was endless, causing people to feel blissful. Oh no! What he saw in front of him was very similar to the phenomenon when the 2 Western sages attained the Tao. How could Feng Zichen not understand what had happened? He had been targeted by the 2 Western sages. Thinking of Taoist Kundi's reputation, he could not help but be shocked. Fellow Taoist, please wait. From afar, he saw a Taoist walking out of the void and shouting at him. The person was wearing a Taoist robe and had his hands in a bun. His face was yellow and his body was thin. There were 2 flowers in his bun and he held a tree branch in his hand. His body was surrounded by Taoist charm. It was as deep as the sea and unfathomable. It was one of the 2 sect masters of the Western sect, Taoist Kundi. As he appeared, deafening sounds of Tao could be heard in the world. It was, wearing a Taoist robe and holding a tree branch, he often performs Tao beside the 8 virtues pool. He often talks about the 3 forms under the 7 treasures forest. He often hangs relics on the top, and he can write scriptures in the hall. He is a true Taoist, beautiful and wonderful. He has cultivated the Western surpassing state and has achieved eternal life. The Bodhi body is infinitely wonderful. The leader of the Western sect is here. Waving the wonderful 7 treasures tree in his hand, Taoist Kundi's figure flashed and he appeared in front of Feng Zichen. He smiled and said to him, Fellow Taoist, where are you from? May I know why you've come to the West? Although he was panicking, it was not the first time Feng Zichen had seen a saint. He could be considered a person who had seen the world. He forced himself to calm down and replied respectfully to Taoist Zhuan Ti. Zichen, disciple of Emperor Nvua's palace, greets the sage. This was the most suitable identity that Feng Zichen could think of. Perhaps with the name of Nua, he could intimidate Taoist Kundi and make him give up on other thoughts. So you are fellow Taoist Nua's disciple. No wonder you are so extraordinary. Nodding his head, Taoist Kundi seemed to be deep in thought. He was just a follower and not a disciple. Taoist Nua should not take him to heart. He would first send him to the West and then find an opportunity to personally visit fellow Taoist Nua and apologize to her in order to save her face. He believed that there shouldn't be much trouble. With that thought in mind, Taoist Kundi made a decision in his heart. His face suddenly darkened, and he shouted at Feng Zichen sternly, According to this, you should be a junior of the Celestial Sect of Wonders. Then why did you walk to the front of Mount Meru but not come to visit poor Wei and the others?
Could it be that you look down on me and my senior brother?
Or, is this the etiquette that fellow Taoist Nuwa taught you? Seeing Taoist Kundi's expression suddenly darken, Feng Zichen knew that something was wrong. Sure enough, when he heard his words again, he could not help but secretly complain in his heart. He had never expected that he would use this to make things difficult for him. For a moment, he did not know how to speak. He had really picked up a stone and smashed his own foot. Saint, you must be joking. Zichen respects the two saints of the West very much. How could he have any contempt for them? It's because Zichen's cultivation is low that he did not go to Mount Meru to visit the two saints for fear that he would dirty the eyes of the saints. Because of this, I forgot the etiquette of the celestial sect of wonders and offended the saints. This is Zichen's fault. I hope that the saints will forgive me. After a long time, Feng Zichen bowed slightly and apologized. In the name of a celestial sect of wonders disciple, he passed by the celestial sect of wonders Taoist field but did not pay a visit. No matter how one looked at it, he was the one who was rude first. There was no room for quibbling. It was better to simply admit his mistake. I see. Little friend, you worry too much about this. The Western sect of wonders opens the door of convenience. All living beings in the untainted land can enter. Under the saints, all living beings are equal. There is no prejudice. Little friend, you can rest assured. Nodding his head, Taoist Kundi put on a smile again on his face. He spoke softly to Feng Zichen and promoted the philosophy of the Western sect at the same time. The saints' ambitions are indeed lofty. They are far from what Zichen can compare to. It is admirable. Feng Zichen was really impressed by Taoist Kundi's words. In this era, Khanate god-fiends were above everything. For the Western sect to say that outstanding people were equal in life, such a rebellious statement showed their courage. At the very least, Feng Zichen did not dare to say it out loud. Of course, this could also be related to the fact that the Western sect of wonders was sparsely populated and there were not many Khanate god-fiends. If these words were said in the East, the guide would have been beaten to death early. There would be no chance for him to become a saint. Even now, with the strength of the three pure ones, they did not dare to say that outstanding people were equal in life and that Khanate life forms were equal to Khanate god-fiends. Did they really think that the Khanate god-fiends in the East were pushovers? Even if they could not deal with the saints, they could still deal with their disciples. There were plenty of ways to make their disciples die suddenly, so that all living beings in the untainted land did not dare to acknowledge them as their master. Young friend, since you admire the Western sect, then follow the poor way to Mount Meru for a chat and see the wonders of the Western sect. The more he looked at Feng Zichen, the more Taoist Kundi liked him. He could not help but invite him. This person was only a postnatal life form, but he could cultivate a Khanate Tao aptitude that was not inferior to a Khanate god-fiend. His aptitude could be said to be unparalleled, and he was definitely not a simple person. If he entered the Western sect, even if he could not glorify the Tao teachings, he would be able to add an expert to the Western sect. No matter what, it would not be a loss. Saint, please wait. Today, I am under the orders of Goddess Nuwa to go to the extreme west. I have something important to visit the White Tiger sacred beast. I cannot delay. Therefore, I hope you can forgive me. When I return from the extreme west, I will report to Goddess Nuwa. After obtaining her consent, I will bring enough gifts to visit the two saints. Feng Zichen did not dare to enter Mount Meru. How could he not know that it was easy for him to enter, but it would be difficult for him to come out? Therefore, he hurriedly used the tiger skin as a coat and said the names of Nuwa and the White Tiger, intending to make Taoist Zhuan Ti have scruples and let him go. Furthermore, the Western techniques were clearly inferior to the Eastern techniques. One had to know that the Eastern Dharma was known as the Great Tao of Mystery, while the Western Dharma was known as the Mystic Dharma of the West. The former referred to Tao, while the latter referred to Dharma. One look was enough to tell who was superior. Feng Zichen was not a fool. How could he offend the celestial sect of wonders, give up the supreme great Tao, and join the Western sect? Stop your nonsense. Junior, you're really crafty. Since ancient times, the White Tiger holy beast has been living in seclusion in the far west. How are you related to fellow Taoist Nuwa in outer space? Obviously, Taoist Kundi did not believe a single word Feng Zichen said. Chapter 185. The poor way is fated to be with you, so I've specially come to save you. You can enjoy the Western Pure Land of ultimate bliss and preach the great Dharma of the three realms. You will have no worries and achieve enlightenment. You will have an indestructible body. Isn't that wonderful? Why do you have to be addicted to the mortal world and struggle bitterly in the billions of calamities? You have to beg for a chance of survival with your life. Unwilling to talk to Feng Zichen any longer, Taoist Kundi decided to take him down first. As long as he was on Mount Meru, it was not up to him to decide whether to keep him or not. With a brush of the wonderful Seven Treasures tree in his hand, a seven-colored light appeared and enveloped Feng Zichen. How extraordinary was a saint's attack! The rainbow-colored light had yet to touch Feng Zichen, but the aura emitted from his body had firmly pinned him to the ground, making him unable to move. This is bad. This was the biggest crisis Feng Zichen had encountered since his debut. Other than his thoughts, his Dharma powers, supernatural powers, spiritual treasures, and everything else could not be used. In the face of absolute power, all his previous efforts were extremely laughable. They were so pale and powerless, without any effect at all. He could only watch helplessly as the seven-colored light enveloped him. Accompanied by a whirlwind, he was sucked into a seven-colored world. The golden light of the treasured flames illuminates the eyes. The Western Pure Dharma is the most subtle. Thousands of pearls are infinitely wonderful. Thousands of auspicious lights are born one after another. It is rare to see a person blessed with a divine pestle. How can it be easy to be blessed in the Seven Treasures Cup? Today, I went to the Lotus Platform meeting together. Today I know that the great Tao has been achieved. After Taoist Kundi used the wonderful Seven Treasures tree to accept Feng Zichen, he could not help but feel happy. He waved his sleeves and walked in the direction of Mount Meru with large strides while singing. Little friend, when we return to Mount Meru, the poor way will teach you the way of the Sarira and the golden body. You will experience the magnificence of the Western Pure Dharma. When the time comes, you will know what a great opportunity this is for you. On the way, Taoist Kundi said to Feng Zichen, Saint Zhuan Ti, I'm a disciple of Goddess Nuwa. You forcefully brought me up Mount Meru. Have you ever taken Goddess Nuwa seriously? After being taken into the seven-colored world, Feng Zichen returned to normal. As he was moving his body, he heard Taoist Kundi's words. Although he was disdainful, he still replied politely. Feng Zichen knew that he had to lower his head when he was under someone else's roof. Besides, how could a saint be humiliated so easily? If he had scolded Taoist Kundi in a moment of anger, he would have been in the right. In this way, even if he was in the right, he would become unreasonable. No one would be able to step forward to save him. This matter has its own poor way. I'll explain it to fellow Taoist Nuwa. You don't have to worry about it. After replying faintly, Taoist Kundi stopped talking. As long as the Western sect could prosper, it would be worth it to offend all the great mystical abilities in the East, including the three pure ones, not to mention a saint. At this moment, above the 9 heavens, a green pearl tore through layers of space with endless astral winds and rushed towards the wonderful tree of 7 treasures in Taoist Kundi's hand at an unbelievable speed. Why does the poor way feel uneasy? It's as if something bad is about to happen. As he walked, the space between Taoist Kundi's eyebrows suddenly twitched as if it was warning him of something. He could not help but stop in his tracks. Even a saint had a bad feeling. It was naturally not a small matter. Taoist Kundi did not dare to hesitate. He immediately used his mystical abilities to return to Mount Meru. Taoist Jianghu was there. At that time, the 2 saints would join forces. No matter what happened, they would be able to easily suppress it. However, before Taoist Kundi could take action, the green pearl had crossed endless space and arrived there, blasting towards him. You're courting death. Seeing this, Taoist Kundi was furious. He could not help but be enraged. This was the first time he had been attacked since he became a saint. With a clap of thunder, a saint statue appeared in the void. It had 18 hands and 24 faces. It was holding a jade umbrella cover, a flower fish intestine, a divine pestle, a precious phial, a golden bell, a golden bow, a silver halberd flag, and so on. It was Taoist Kundi's supreme golden body. Take this. The 24 faces spoke in unison. It was like thunder, shocking all directions. The 18 hands waved together, each holding a Dharma treasure. With supreme Dharma power, they hit the green pearl fiercely. Unfortunately, Taoist Hongjuan's realm was mysterious and unpredictable. It was not something an ordinary saint could compare to. How could Taoist Kundi block his mystical abilities? The green pearl shook slightly and ignored Taoist Kundi's attack. It hit the wonderful tree of 7 treasures directly, causing it to tremble. A huge force came. Taoist Kundi could not withstand it for a moment. He could not help but loosen his grip, causing the wonderful tree of 7 treasures to fly out and crash into a mountain peak not far away. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Feng Zichen struggled and escaped from the wonderful tree of 7 treasures. The green pearl sensed his aura. It spun and fell into his hand. This is... Without thinking, Feng Zichen put away the pearl and immediately escaped into the void, rushing towards the extreme west. Since the other party had already attacked him, he did not care about offending him. It was better to escape first. As long as he could escape to the extreme west, he would be safe. The white tiger sacred beast was there. With its protection, Taoist Kundi would not dare to force him too much. Kid, don't go. Taoist Kundi kept his golden body and called back the wonderful tree of 7 treasures. He swiped it at Feng Zichen. A 7-colored ray of light brushed past, and time immediately froze. Feng Zichen was fixed in the void, motionless. Nonsense. At the same time, in the Purple Cloud Palace, Taoist Hongjun, who was preaching to Nuwa, suddenly frowned and looked displeased. Master, did something happen? At the side, Nuwa asked nervously. Hongjun suddenly became angry and gave her a fright. She thought that she had done something wrong and angered Hongjun. Taoist Hongjun did not answer. He only separated a trace of his spiritual consciousness and headed towards the west. Seeing this, Nuwa heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that it was not her. Immediately, she was a little curious. She did not know which unlucky person had angered her master. This time, there would be a good show to watch. Thinking of this, Nuwa could not help but be curious. She followed the direction where Taoist Hongjuan's spiritual consciousness left and looked down. In the west, Taoist Kundi was about to go forward and take Feng Zichen away. Without any warning, Taoist Hongjun suddenly appeared in front of him, giving him a fright. Disciple Kundi greets master. Taoist Kundi was shocked and hurriedly bowed. During the 3 lectures of the Purple Cloud Palace, Taoist Hongjun had no choice but to take the 2 of them in due to karma. However, they were not the disciples that Hongjun liked. The 2 of them only got the title of in-name disciples. Therefore, the 2 of them could not be like the 3 pure ones and Nuwa, who called him master. Instead, they were like the group of mortal guests of the Purple Cloud, who called him master. Chapter 186. Naturally, the treatment of the 2 from the Western sect could not be compared to that of the 3 pure ones and Nuwa. That day, when Taoist Hongjun distributed the treasures, the 4 personal disciples each had a connate cardinal treasure. As for the 2 from the Western sect, he gave them 2 supreme-grade connate numinous treasures and sent them away. It was obvious that he was biased. Get up and talk. Taoist Hongjun waved his hand and helped Taoist Kundi up. The saint was the spokesperson of the heavenly Tao in the primordial world. He patrolled on behalf of the heavenly Tao and symbolized the dignity of the heavenly Tao. It was inappropriate for him to keep bowing and speaking. Therefore, although Taoist Hongjun was unhappy, he would not let Taoist Kundi bend down and speak. I didn't know that teacher had arrived. I didn't welcome you. Please forgive me. Seeing Taoist Hongjun's unhappy expression, Taoist Kundi's heart skipped a beat and he hurriedly apologized. Taoist, you are already a saint and the role model of all living beings in the primordial world. How can you do such a shameless thing and personally attack a junior? Aren't you afraid of losing the dignity of a saint and being ridiculed by the connate god fiends? Thinking of Taoist Kundi's actions, Taoist Hongjun said angrily. Teacher, please calm down. I know my mistake. I only saw that this person's aptitude was top-notch and my heart was filled with love for talent. That's why I could not help but take him down and take him in as a disciple. I wanted to stay by his side and teach him personally to inherit the Western Dharma. I didn't care that I would lose the dignity of a saint because of this. Please forgive me, teacher. After knowing the reason, Taoist Kundi hurriedly explained.
However, in front of Taoist Hongjun, he did not dare to say anything about being fated with the Western sect.
Instead, he said that he loved talent and had no choice. Don't quibble. That person is clearly from the human race. He will be taught by the Nuwa. He doesn't need you to teach him. Moreover, you know that he is the disciple of the Nuwa, but you still forcefully brought him up Mount Meru. In your eyes, do you still have any friendship with the celestial sect of wonders? Have you ever taken the Nuwa and the poor way seriously? Seeing that Taoist Kundi did not have the slightest intention of admitting his mistake, Taoist Hongjun became even angrier and scolded him sternly. Teacher, please calm down.
Disciple would never dare to do that.
He was in the wrong in the first place. Without considering Nuwa's face, Taoist Kundi did not dare to continue quibbling.
He could not help but lower his head and repeatedly said that he did not dare.
Humph. Remember this lesson. Don't do it again in the future. A saint should act like a saint. He should be a role model for all living beings in the primordial world and be careful with his words and actions. With a cold snort, Taoist Hongjun said. Taoist Juanti was already a saint, so Taoist Hongjun could not punish him. He could only warn him and ask him to pay attention to his words and actions. Disciple obeys. Seeing that the matter was over, Taoist Kundi heaved a sigh of relief. He waved his sleeve at Feng Zichen and cancelled the spell cast on him. Suddenly coming back to his senses, Feng Zichen hadn't even thought about the changes in his body when he felt that the atmosphere around him was not right. Looking around, he couldn't help but be slightly startled. At some point in time, a purple figure had suddenly appeared in front of him. It was otherworldly. Taoist Kundi, who had terrified him, was standing obediently beside the figure. He no longer had the overbearing attitude from before. The reason why he was called a figure was because Feng Zichen could not see his face clearly.
This person was clearly in front of him, but it was as if there was a layer of fog separating him and he could not see clearly.
Who is it? At the first sight of this figure, Feng Zichen felt a sense of admiration in his heart. He only felt that this person's aura was hidden. It was as majestic as a mountain, as vast as the sea, as deep as the starry sky, and as vast as the heavenly Tao. Taoist Hongjun stood in the air. The breeze blew his purple robe, making him look extraordinary. However, his appearance could not be seen clearly. However, Feng Zichen only felt that this figure was as tall as heaven and earth. It was simple and desolate, like the silence of the primordial world. Feng Zichen only felt his heart beat inexplicably. Dong, dong, dong. He even heard the sound of his huge heartbeat, as if he had seen the great Tao. Feng Zichen had been in the martial arts world for so long, and he had seen many earth-shattering big shots, but he had never seen anyone who gave him such a strong impact and oppressive feeling. This person was the incarnation of the heavenly Tao. He was the Tao. He is Tao ancestor Hongjun. An extremely strong feeling surged in Feng Zichen's heart. Instantly, he understood the origin of the person in front of him. I've seen. Feng Zichen was about to go forward and greet him when a breeze blew past. Taoist Hongjun's figure dissipated with the wind. He could not continue halfway through his words. Little friend, it seems that your fate with the Western sect has not arrived yet. Poor Wei will not keep you today. When fate arrives in the future, it won't be too late for Poor Wei to go to the east to rescue you. Taoist Kundi shook his head regretfully and said to Feng Zichen, Saint, I am not fated with the Western sect. The Grand Pure One once said that I was fated to be with him and wanted to take me in as his disciple. No matter how I look at it, I am not fated to be with the Western sect. There are countless connate gods and demons in the East. Why does the saint keep staring at me, a postnatal living being? Feng Zichen was a little helpless when Taoist Kundi was so concerned. He could only continue to pull out a tiger skin to scare him and make him give up on the idea of sending him to the West. After all, it was not a pleasant thing to be remembered by a saint. There's actually such a thing? Your background is more complicated than Poor Wei thought. However, that's not important. The more popular you are, the more outstanding you are. You should join the Western sect. I'll give you this technique for the time being as compensation for what happened today. It can also let you understand the profoundness of the Western sect's mystic techniques. Cultivate well. I hope that the next time we meet, you will have already cultivated the immortal golden body and willingly join the Western sect. Then, without giving Feng Zichen a chance to refuse, Daoist Kundi shot a golden light into his glabella and disappeared. Sensing the additional cultivation technique in his sea of consciousness, Feng Zichen smiled bitterly and shook his head. Next time? There won't be a next time. Feng Zichen muttered as he looked in the direction that Daoist Kundi had left. Soon, he would become a guest of honor of the Magi and a thorn in the side of the demons. At that time, if Daoist Kundi sent him to the west, it would be equivalent to offending the Magi and demons at the same time.
In the eyes of the Magi, he did not take them seriously and dared to rob the Magi of the Magi.
In the eyes of the demons, Daoist Kundi's actions undoubtedly expressed his attitude. He wanted to protect Feng Zichen. How could they not be angry? At that moment it was the era of the Magi and demons. If Daoist Kundi really dared to take the risk of offending the two races at the same time and forcefully abducted him to the west, Feng Zichen would accept it. Chapter 187. You're going too far. Xuanti, how dare you bully me like this? In the Purple Cloud Palace, Nuwa was so angry that her face turned pale and her body trembled. She could not help but take out the red embroidered ball and throw it at Mount Meru. On Mount Meru, Daoist Xuanti ran quickly to Daoist Jie and kept shouting, "Disaster! Senior brother! I've caused big trouble this time. We saints are immortal and exist with the world. What disaster can there be? Junior brother, you don't have to be so flustered. Come to me." Daoist Jie smiled and did not take Daoist Xuanti's words to heart. Instead, he felt that he was making a fuss over nothing. In the untainted land, the saints were invincible. What disaster could affect them? However, just as Daoist Jie finished speaking, before Daoist Xuanti could reply, he saw a huge red embroidered ball with a long tail of flames flying over from the sky and hitting Mount Meru hard. Nuwa attacked with hatred and did not have any worries. The power of a saint was completely unleashed. It was so powerful that it could suppress the heavens. No matter how exquisite the Western array formation was, how could it block it? Boom! With a loud bang, the entire Mount Meru shook and huge cracks appeared. A section of the mountain fell off and smashed into the outer sea, causing boundless waves. For a moment, the wind and clouds around Mount Meru surged. Smoke and dust filled the air, and huge waves surged into the sky. Countless living beings fled in panic, causing the Elysium to become chaotic. Nuwa, Mount Meru could be said to be his lifeblood. Now that it had been damaged, the pain in Daoist Jieyin's heart could be imagined. How could he not be angry? He immediately took out the green lotus flag and was about to hit Nuwa. "Senior brother, you can't." Daoist Xuanti hurriedly ran forward and pulled Daoist Jieyin back, preventing him from attacking. They were in the wrong for what happened today. If they let Nuwa vent, this matter would be over. However, if they attacked, this matter would blow up. If they wanted to understand the karma, they would have to pay a huge price. "Junior brother, why are you stopping me?" Mount Meru has been severely damaged by this attack. Who knows how many heavenly materials and earthly treasures and how much time it will take to repair it. Moreover, our Western sect is weak to begin with. If we don't fight back after being humiliated like this, wouldn't we become the laughingstock of the world? Bear the name of incompetence? If that's the case, how can we still have the face to preach in the East? Even though he was pulled by Daoist Xuanti, Daoist Jieyin was still furious. He grabbed the green lotus flag in his hand and wanted to teach Nuwa a lesson and let the living beings of the primordial world know. The Western sect was not to be trifled with. "Senior brother, it's my fault. It's all Junior brother's fault. Junior brother asked for it." After forcefully seizing the green lotus flag, Daoist Xuanti smiled bitterly and told Daoist Jieyin everything that had happened. "Sigh. Junior brother, you're muddle-headed." Sighing helplessly, Daoist Jieyin retracted his divine ability. It was not appropriate for him to strike back. "Fellow Daoist Nuwa, this is our fault. I'll apologize to you here." "Now that you have vented your anger, fellow Daoist, Mount Meru has also suffered considerable damage. I have also been reprimanded by teacher. Are you satisfied? Can you retract your mystical ability?"
as expected of a saint who was known for his soul.
In just a moment, Taoist Jie adjusted his mentality and returned to his compassionate look.
He said to the red embroidered ball in the sky, "Humph. If there's a next time, I swear I won't let it go."
With a cold snort, Nuwa put away the red embroidered ball and returned to outer space.
If not for the fact that she was in the right, Nuwa would not have dared to force him too much.
"I'm sorry, senior brother." After the matter calmed down, Taoist Zhuan-Ti looked at the messy Mount Meru and said guiltily, "It's fine. Junior brother is also thinking for the Western sect. Just be careful next time." At this point, it was useless to regret. Taoist Jie could not blame Taoist Zhuan-Ti because of this.
He could only let this matter go.
"However, I didn't notice teacher at all when he came. This is a little unbelievable. We're both saints. How can the gap be so big? Could it be that teacher has reached the realm above saints?" He thought that after becoming a saint, even if he could not be compared to Hongjun, he could at least find out some of his realm. However, what happened today was a big blow to Taoist Jie.
Taoist Hongjun had come to the door, but he did not notice at all.
It was simply terrifying. 8-9 Arcane Art? This Taoist Zhuan-Ti is generous. After reading the message from Taoist Zhuan-Ti, Feng Zichen sighed. 8-9 Arcane Art was the #1 body-refining technique of Buddhism. It cultivated supreme magic power. With the Saraira, it cultivated an immortal golden body. It was indestructible and could suppress the world.
However, his good intentions were destined to be wasted.
Unorthodox. Feng Zichen looked down on this technique. In terms of magic power, he had the inheritance of the 3 pure ones and the Taoist scripture of 3 enclosures. It was stronger than the 8-9 Arcane Art.
In terms of body refining, he had the inheritance of Pangu and the inheritance of the Chaos Demon God.
Any one of them was stronger than the 8-9 Arcane Art. It could be said that in the untainted land, except for the ancestral sorcerer, no one could compare to it. This technique was passed down by saints. It could not be passed down to outsiders.
In this way, it seemed a little redundant in his hands.
Let's put it aside first. The West values karma the most. There might be something hidden in it that I don't know. Once I cultivate it, who knows what will happen? To be safe, it's better not to think about it. With this thought in mind, Feng Zichen used his supernatural power to seal all the memories about the 8-9 Arcane Art.
He sank them into the depths of his sea of consciousness and completely forgot about it.
Let's go. After doing all this, Feng Zichen leaped and merged into the void. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the extreme west. The extreme west was filled with connate gung metal qi. It was very sharp. When it scraped against one's body, it was extremely painful. The further in he went, the sharper the connate gung metal qi became. In the end, every connate gung metal qi was as strong as a blow from Daluo. Feng Zichen had to stop and shout, "The Zichen clan of the human race is here to pay a visit to the White Tiger Lord." Among the 5 elements sacred beasts, only the 3 clan leaders dominated the untainted land.
Although the black tortoise and the white tiger had a high status, they were only the deputies of the ancestral dragon and the Qilin ancestor.
Why is no one answering? Is the White Tiger Lord asleep? After waiting for a while, no one answered. Feng Zichen could not help but feel puzzled.
When he was about to continue shouting, he saw a magnificent golden light sweeping toward him.
Oh no! Shocked, Feng Zichen hurriedly took out a green pearl and activated it. Dazzling light flickered, and the 9 heavens squall roared out, blocking all the golden light. Chapter 188. The green pearl in Feng Zichen's hand was a spiritual treasure given to him by Hongjun Taoist. It was the innate wind pearl, one of the 4 spiritual pearls of earth, fire, water, and wind. It was an upper-grade innate spiritual treasure. With the 4 spiritual pearls in hand, if the chaos bead devoured them, it might be able to recover to the level of an innate spiritual treasure. However, the birth of an innate spiritual treasure would cause a huge commotion. This was the hinterland of the West, where 2 sages were guarding. If the chaos bead were to be upgraded, the 2 sages would not mind having an additional innate spiritual treasure. With that in mind, Feng Zichen did not dare to let the chaos bead devour the innate wind pearl. He did not want to attract the attention of the sages and cause him to lose the treasure. Otherwise, it would be a huge loss. Of course, innate spiritual treasures were rare. The innate wind pearl alone might not be able to upgrade the chaos bead. But what if it succeeded? After all, the chaos bead was too important. Even if there was a slight possibility, Feng Zichen did not dare to take the risk. With the innate wind pearl, he could temporarily use it to defend against enemies and replace the chaos bead. Due to the reputation of the two sages of the West, he would try not to use the chaos bead as much as possible to avoid being targeted by them. Whoosh! The innate gunmetal chi was extremely strong. It was like a divine weapon, whistling and rushing towards Feng Zichen. Its power was enough to hurt Daluo Jingxian. The nine heavens squall was intangible. It was a combination of hardness and softness. It was endless and covered a radius of 1,000,000 miles. It blew towards the innate gunmetal chi. The squall was like a heavenly knife, cutting through the void. It was extremely terrifying. Do you want the innate metal origin? Sure. Pass my test. Not only will you get the innate metal origin, but you will also get an additional reward from me. As the nine heavens squall and the innate gunmetal chi fought, a voice suddenly came from the void. It was like the sound of heaven and earth. It rolled over, causing the void to shake and explode in Feng Zichen's ears. It was the voice of the white tiger sacred beast. He wanted to see how extraordinary this young man was and if he was really qualified to get the innate metal origin from him. A test. Come on then. It's a good opportunity to test out my recent achievements. Facing the test of the white tiger holy beast, Feng Zichen was not afraid at all. Instead, a strong fighting spirit rose within him. After the battle in the primordial ruins, he felt that he had improved significantly. Just when he was worried that he wouldn't have a chance to test his skills, the white tiger saint beast delivered the opportunity to him. So, how could he refuse? Not bad. In the depths of the extreme west, the white tiger holy beast looked at Feng Zichen, who was full of fighting spirit, and nodded with satisfaction. Feng Zichen's performance was very much in line with his character. Go. After a slight pause, the white tiger saint beast opened its mouth and spat out a ray of white light. It was incomparably bright and emitted a terrifying aura that swept through the entire extreme westland. Then, the light became stronger and stronger, more and more vast, emitting a monstrous pressure. It was like a majestic galaxy hanging upside down, intimidating the heavens and shaking the greater thousand universe. It poured down toward Feng Zichen. Sword of the Earth, kill. Taking out the Zichen sword, Feng Zichen swung it forward. A purple sword light swept out, accompanied by water, fire, and wind, majestically slashing toward the white light. The earth had the three treasures: water, fire, and wind. This sword could mobilize the power of the earth, fire, water, and wind to stir up the void, overturn the world, and cause all the concepts of space to lose their proper order. Rumble! The sword light and the white light collided with each other, emitting a rumbling sound. They kept colliding and entangling with each other. In an instant, they broke apart one after another. After the sword light broke apart, there was a sudden change. The earth, fire, water, and wind emerged, forming a strange world gradually. At the same time, the white light also changed. The fragments floating in the air suddenly changed into sabers, spears, swords, halberds, axes, battle axes, hooks, tridents, and so on. Those divine weapons floated in the air, layer upon layer, densely packed, almost endless. They emitted a clanging sound, triggering an endless killing intent that swept across the land. Whoosh! 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 Without waiting for the sword world to take shape, those divine weapons whizzed down with a fierce aura, piercing through it and completely shattering it. Then, the divine weapons did not stop and shot toward Feng Zichen. The connate metal element origin is hidden in these divine weapons. If you can destroy all of them, you can get the connate metal element origin. Let me see if you can get the origin of the innate metal element in your hands. Accompanying the divine weapons was the white tiger sacred beast's cold voice. Then come at me. Hearing this, Feng Zichen's battle intent became even stronger. His right hand did not stop, continuously waving the Zichen sword in his hand. Rays of purple sword light shot out, with an indomitable aura, slashing toward the divine weapons in front of him, shattering them into pieces. However, the divine weapons were endless. Feng Zichen's attack was like a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. It did not have the slightest effect.
In the blink of an eye, those divine weapons came to his side and poured down like a rainstorm.
Endless killing intent filled the air, twisting the rules and reversing time, causing an inexplicable change in heaven and earth. A desolate battlefield gradually appeared in front of Feng Zichen, stirring his heart and stirring his heart. In an instant, his connection with the outside world was completely cut off.
It should be known that this was the land of the far west.
The one who stayed here was not the divine Tao incarnation of the white tiger sacred beast, but his original body, an existence comparable to a sage. For such an existence, killing Daluo Jingxian was a piece of cake. Even a casual attack was not something that Feng Zichen could easily block. In the battlefield, Feng Zichen moved left and right, continuously using the 36 heavenly dipper changes, one by one, to meet the oncoming divine weapons. However, the continuous use of grand magic consumed a lot of Feng Zichen. Without the replenishment of connate qi from the outside world, as time went by, his physical strength gradually weakened. Tree of World, help me! Seeing that he was at a disadvantage, Feng Zichen's heart stirred, and he connected with the Tree of World in the chaos bead. Suddenly, a strong force gushed out from the Tree of World and poured into his body, causing his strength to suddenly increase. At this time, the Tree of World was very different from before. In addition to the innate wind bead, the treasures given by Taoist Hongjun also included a mass of chaos essence. This item was specially prepared for the Tree of World. With Taoist Hongjun's strength, he had seen the future of Mount Buzhou's collapse from the first time he saw the Tree of World from Feng Zichen. Although he could not know the specific process, it was enough to just get the conclusion. How could Taoist Hongjun ignore such a major event that concerned the future of the untainted land? Therefore, he condensed a mass of chaos essence to help Feng Zichen cultivate the Tree of World.
In the future, he would continue to find suitable opportunities to accelerate the growth of the Tree of World, so that it could grow to the point where it could support the sky as soon as possible.
Chapter 189. The Beginning of the Sword, the Unification of All Daras. Feng Zichen calmed himself down and waved his sword. Dazzling sword light burst out as if the sea of stars had exploded. Billions of rays of light shot out and shook the universe. The sword light was dazzling, magnificent, hot, and cold. It was all-encompassing and contained many great daras.
It was as if all the great Daos in the untainted land could be found in it.
A looming shadow of the great Tao appeared behind Feng Zichen. It emitted a strange aura, causing the world to tremble inexplicably. Tens of thousands of great Daos suddenly fell. Even the heavenly Tao was shaking. It seemed to be surprised and angry.
With the support of this great Tao, the billions of rays of sword light suddenly gathered and turned into a dazzling torrent.
It carried the power of tens of thousands of great Daos and went against the current. It was mighty and rushed into the sky. Boom!
Wherever the torrent of sword light passed, it was as if nothing existed.
It was a vast expanse of whiteness. As soon as the divine weapon made of Gongjin Qi touched the sword light, it was torn into pieces before it could explode. It turned into a trace of innate origin of metal and floated in the torrent of sword light.
What a strange aura!
What great Tao is this?
Why have I never come into contact with it before?
Deep in the land of the far west, White Tiger Sacred Beast suddenly stood up and stared at the shadow of the great Tao behind Feng Zichen. It wanted to find out the origin of this great Tao. This great Tao seems to be innate but not innate. It seems to be illusory but not illusory. It is mysterious and unpredictable.
It is simply unheard of and unseen.
It doesn't seem to be a great Tao born from the innate earth. Could it be that this great Tao was created by that kid himself? After looking at it for a while, White Tiger Sacred Beast was sure that it could not recognize the origin of this great Tao.
With its cultivation, it might be impossible for it to have dabbled in all the great Daos in the untainted land, but it was not difficult to say that it understood all of them.
Now, even it could not recognize the origin of this great Tao. There could only be one reason. This great Tao had never appeared before. It was created post-natally. That's right. Just as the White Tiger Sacred Beast had thought, the shadow of the great path behind Feng Zichen was the sword way, which was also the acquired way. Among the connate Tao, there was no sword Tao. Many mighty figures in the primordial world who used swords as weapons did not cultivate the sword Tao. For example, Although Daoist Shangqing's swordsmanship was exquisite, the Dao he cultivated was the great Dao of mystery. Mingyi was accompanied by Yuan-Tu and Avicii. The two Khanate killing swords did not cultivate the sword Dao but the slaughter Dao and the blood Dao. Only Feng Zichen was born after birth.
With his fearless will and indomitable faith, he absorbed the essence of the myriad Daos and created something out of nothing, creating the Dao of the sword. Although the Dao of swordsmanship was an acquired Dao now, once Feng Zichen achieved Daluo Jingxian with this Dao, he would be able to go against the innate Dao and achieve the innate Dao, turning it into the cornerstone of heaven and earth. Of course, it was extremely difficult to become a Daluo Jingxian through the post-celestial Dao. It was even more difficult than the post-celestial Dao to become an innate god. However, the benefits were also very obvious. Once he achieved the Dao, he would be the ancestor of a Dao. He would be able to control boundless luck and receive the protection of the heavenly Dao. The appearance of a Khanate Dao was extremely beneficial to stabilizing the primordial world and accelerating the evolution of the heavenly Dao. How could the heavenly Dao not reward him? Of course, if he had a choice, Feng Zichen would not be willing to prove his Dao through the post-celestial Dao. After all, the Khanate Dao was the mainstream. It was unprecedented and unheard of to achieve the Dao through the post-celestial Dao. Who knew what kind of accident would happen in the process of proving the Dao? However, the Dao of Hongmeng was broad and profound. He could not comprehend it at the moment. However, the Dao of Stars was Di Jun's exclusive property. If an outsider proved it, he would definitely die. Helpless, Feng Zichen could only focus on the Dao of swordsmanship. Although this Dao was full of unknowns, it was very strong. This time it was the first time that the Dao of swordsmanship showed its sharpness in the primordial world. It showed its sharpness without any reservation. It destroyed all the gung metal divine weapons in an unstoppable manner. When the torrent of sword light disappeared, billions of light spots appeared and gathered into a ball of Khanate metal origin. It shone brightly and kept jumping in the air. After a while, the ball of Khanate metal origin moved and turned into a white light, entering Feng Zichen's body. In an instant, the white light in his body shone brightly. The rumbling sound was endless. It was like the roar of a tiger, shaking the surroundings. It was also like the sound of swords, stirring up a murderous aura. After that, a Khanate metal chi appeared in his lungs and turned into the shape of a white tiger. It roared continuously and echoed with the other three sacred beasts. At this time, the Khanate metal chi had been perfected. For out of the 5 chi had been formed. Feng Zichen was only one step away from Daluo Jingxian. Metal, wood, fire and earth. The 4 chi had been formed. They responded to each other and gave birth to inexplicable changes. They appeared in Feng Zichen's body and connected with each other. They went back and forth and evolved the principle of the cycle of the 5 elements. In the cycle of the 4 chi, strands of Khanate water origin were born and poured into his body. His kidneys shone with a bright black light. There were even faint shadows of tortoises and snakes. Feng Zichen was the first to notice the change in his body. After thinking for a while, he understood what was going on. The 5 elements were of the same origin. They promoted and restrained each other. Now that the 4 chi had been formed, they responded to each other and connected with each other. They evolved the Xianxia of creation and gave birth to Khanate water chi, which promoted the perfection of the 5 elements. According to Feng Zichen's calculation, if he put everything aside and went into seclusion to cultivate, he would be able to generate Khanate water chi in less than 30,000 years. He would reach the state of 5 chi unification and become Daluo Jingxian. However, Feng Zichen had to go to the North Pole to visit the sacred beast Xuanwu. He would get the Khanate water origin from it. There was no need for him to cultivate in seclusion and condense Khanate water chi. With so much time, why not do something else? Why waste so much effort? Good. You are indeed the hero who created the incense divine path. You are really extraordinary. At this time, the incarnation of the sacred beast White Tiger walked out from the depths of the West Pole and praised him. After a while he sighed again and said in a slightly desolate tone, "I'm sorry. Feeling the vitality in your body, I feel that I am a little old and can't keep up with the times." "My lord, you must be joking. You have reached the supreme realm of immortality and indestructibility. You are in existence with the Tao. How can you be old?" The White Tiger said that he was old. It was just a feeling of depression in its heart.
Feng Zichen wouldn't take it seriously.
At their level, it was not an exaggeration to say that they existed with the world and moved with the world. To a certain extent, they could already affect the development of the world. They could change the world according to their will. It was them who changed the world, not the world changing them. It could be said that they would never grow old and never fall behind. They would always stand at the forefront of the times and keep going until the end of everything.
Chapter 190. By the way, what kind of great way did you use just now? Why haven't I seen it before? The white tiger sacred beast asked curiously as it recalled what had happened just now. Sacred Master, the way that I used just now is called the way of the sword. It is an acquired way of the world. I created it by chance recently. This is the first time that it has appeared in the Eldritch world. Hence, you have not seen it before. As Feng Zichen spoke, he took out the Zichen sword and activated the power of the way of the sword. Suddenly, a sharp aura shot up to the sky with an indomitable aura. It shattered the clouds and caused everyone's expression to change. Way of the sword? Looking at the Zichen sword, which was overflowing with sword chi, the white tiger sacred beast was relieved and amazed. He could not help but say to Feng Zichen, "You are really talented. You are a great talent." There are millions of people who use swords in the world, but none of them are like you, comprehending a Tao that encompasses the principles of heaven and earth from this ordinary weapon to become a zenith heaven golden immortal. Sword-type spiritual treasures were not rare in the Eldritch world. Due to their great destructive power, they were loved by the cultivators in the Eldritch world. The white tiger sacred beast had used many of these spiritual treasures in the past. Why did it not think of creating a way of the sword? The longer it lived, the more backward it became. It was not even comparable to a junior. From what I see, although this way of the world is an acquired way, it has great potential and great power. When you become the Daluo Jingxian of the way of the sword, this way of the world will be able to go against the connate heavens and become the cornerstone of the world. It will become the connate way.
Judging from its appearance, it will not be any weaker than the other connate ways.
You should comprehend this way carefully. When you become the Daluo Jingxian, you will benefit greatly. Since Feng Zichen was his junior, the white tiger sacred beast was worried that Feng Zichen would not understand the mysteries of the way of the sword because he had only cultivated for a short time. Thank you, Sacred Master. I understand. Feng Zichen nodded his head and replied. Suddenly, he thought of something and quickly asked the white tiger holy beast, "What's the matter?" "My lord, is there any danger in reversing the acquired path into the congenital path? Or is there anything I need to pay attention to?" Feng Zichen didn't know much about this matter, but the white tiger saint beast was extremely powerful and knowledgeable. It might be able to tell him a thing or two. I don't know about this either. This is the reverse of the Houtian Dao into the Xiantian Dao. This is something that has only happened since ancient times. However, this is the first time you've encountered something like this. There are no precedents to be found. As for what kind of tribulation you've encountered, even I can't tell you. However, according to the usual methods of the heavenly Tao, it is nothing more than punishment first and reward later. The white tiger sacred beast had never experienced such a thing before. As a connate god born from the great Tao, he was naturally familiar with the connate Tao. He didn't even have enough time to search for the innate Tao, so how could he have noticed the non-existent postnatal Tao? However, the white tiger sacred beast was, after all, the first batch of connate gods born in the primitive world. It had lived long enough and had seen enough. It was extremely familiar with the methods of the heavenly Tao. It could roughly deduce what Feng Zichen would encounter in the future from the way the heavenly Tao had acted in the past. As long as there is a heaven-defying item, the heavenly Tao will appear and send down heavenly punishment as a test. If you pass it, you will live. If you fail, you will die. Your acquired path reverses the congenital path. It is against the heavens and can be said to be a perverse act. It is truly a heaven-defying act. If you succeed in this way, the heavenly Tao will definitely appear and send down heavenly punishment. If you fail to pass it, your ashes will fly away. You've passed it. Think about it. You've added a natural Tao to the world. How great of a merit is that? Just the reward bestowed by the heavenly Tao is enough for you to live a carefree life without any calamities. Not to mention, after the sword Tao becomes the congenital path, It can be said to exist with the heavens. And as the ancestor of the sword Tao, you can enjoy this glory with the sword Tao. In other words, from now on, as long as the sword Tao is not destroyed, no one in the world can kill you. Even a saint can only seal you forever and can't kill you completely. These words were not the speculation of the white tiger holy beast.
Instead, it was deduced from the future based on the way the heavenly Tao acted. The congenital path was the cornerstone of the primordial world. Ever since it appeared, it was closely related to heaven and earth. Unless the primordial world was destroyed, no one could destroy it. Achieving the Tao with this method was equivalent to becoming a different kind of saint. Although it was somewhat similar, it was still different. The true spirit of a saint was entrusted with the heavenly Tao. For example, Feng Zichen's true spirit was entrusted with his own Tao. He could also achieve indestructibility and endless Dharma powers, but his power was much weaker. However, the Daluo Jingxian who had achieved it with this method was much better than the Daluo Jingxian who had achieved it with the congenital path. If word got out, it would still attract all living beings in the primordial world to risk their lives to cultivate this Tao.
By the way, the Zichen clan. The benefits of this method are so great. I think the power of the heavenly punishment must be beyond imagination. In addition, this is the first time this method has appeared in the world. The power of the heavenly punishment will increase again. If you rashly use this method to achieve the Tao, the possibility of success is extremely low. In my opinion, you'd better choose another congenital path to cultivate. When Daluo Jingxian has achieved perfection, it's safest to try to achieve the Tao with this method.
The birth of an extraordinary method was bound to be accompanied by a disaster. The more extraordinary it was, the greater the disaster.
There were so many benefits of this method. The white tiger holy beast counted them carefully and suddenly felt that something was wrong. It quickly said to Feng Zichen, I didn't think of this. Feng Zichen's heart skipped a beat. He bowed to the white tiger holy beast and said, Thank you for reminding me. Zichen will remember it. He really didn't think of this point. Previously, he just thought that this method had never existed before. Once it appeared in the world, there would be twists and turns. He didn't expect there to be so many twists and turns. The congenital 5 elements Tao is not bad. It's one of the best great Taos in the untainted land. Since ancient times, I've only heard of people attaining the Tao with one of the 5 elements. I've never heard of anyone attaining the Tao with all the 5 elements. It shows that the Tao of the 5 elements has no master. You can specialize in this Tao. Once you achieve Daluo Jingxian, you'll be the master of a Tao. It's not inferior to the congenital Tao. The white tiger holy beast nodded and advised Feng Zichen. He told Feng Zichen such a secret in the untainted land.
If he had to rely on Feng Zichen to understand it himself, who knew how much time it would take? No one attains the Tao of the 5 elements?
Feng Zichen asked doubtfully. That was the congenital 5 elements Tao, the real top great Tao in the untainted land. It was all-inclusive, nurtured all things, and gave birth to the world. Everything in the world was included in it. It was the most powerful. No one had cultivated it. That's right. In the untainted land, no one has achieved Daluo Jingxian with it.
In the primordial age, when the world was just born, the 5 elements were unstable.
This made cultivating the Tao of the 5 elements unexpectedly difficult. Chapter 191. As for the Khanate 5 elements Tao, the Khanate gods and demons were accidentally killed by the beasts, causing the Tao of the 5 elements to wail and gradually fall into silence. Since then, no one in the primordial age has cultivated the Khanate 5 elements Tao. In the primordial age, the 5 of us controlled the universe and divided the 5 elements into 5 directions to suppress the Tao of the 5 elements, making it impossible for anyone to achieve Tao. Now, there are thousands of Khanate gods and demons who have achieved Daluo Jingxian with a single Tao of the 5 elements. They have firmly suppressed the Tao of the 5 elements, making it impossible for anyone to achieve Tao. Facing Feng Zichen's doubts, the white tiger sacred beast did not show any signs of impatience. Instead, he patiently explained to him. It was really inconsistent with his cold personality. Sacred beast, after hearing what you said, why do I feel that cultivating the Khanate 5 elements Tao is more difficult than cultivating the Khanate Tao? After hearing the white tiger sacred beast's words, Feng Zichen smiled bitterly. It was no wonder that he thought so. There were thousands of Daluo Jingxian. In order to achieve the connate 5 elements Dao, the first thing to do was to defeat the imprints that the Daluo Jingxian had left in the great Dao space. Only then could one achieve Dao. However, with thousands of Daluo Jingxian, how long would he have to fight? He would probably die of exhaustion before he could achieve Dao. Moreover, there was no right or wrong in the battle for Dao. By then, those Daluo Jingxian would not care about their reputation and would definitely not fight Feng Zichen alone. They would definitely swarm him and tear him to pieces. In such a difficult situation, it was no wonder that no one could achieve Dao. If they had the ability, wouldn't it be better to achieve Dao through strength? It is extremely difficult for others, but it is different for you. The white tiger sacred beast smiled and said, "The 5 of us are the lords of the 5 elements. With our help, you can achieve Dao without worry. You don't have to worry about anything else." Zichen will never forget the sacred beast's kindness. Hearing this, Feng Zichen was overjoyed and quickly thanked him. This was the benefit of having a backer. Without the help of the 5 elements sacred beasts, it would be impossible for him to attain the innate 5 elements Dao on his own. "It's fine. Compared to the surprise you've given me, this little bit of help is nothing." The white tiger holy beast shook his head and said nonchalantly. To him, this was a piece of cake. It might not be difficult to get one of the 5 element sacred beasts to attack, but it would be difficult to get all of them to attack at the same time. In the current primordial world, perhaps only Feng Zichen had such prestige. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. When you attain your Dao, we will naturally sense it and head to the great Dao space to lend you a hand. Seeing that Feng Zichen was about to continue speaking, the white tiger holy beast waved its hand and said, "Don't worry. Also, since you've passed my test, I'll give you some benefits. Take this scripture, it might be useful to your human race." Having said that, the white tiger holy beast took out a jade book and handed it to Feng Zichen. The jade book was pure white and shone brightly. It was engraved with innate Dao runes that were emitting light. It was mysterious and unfathomable. Innate metal chi filled the air and turned into various weapons that danced in the air. It was a magical sight. "Thank you, sacred master." Feng Zichen took the jade book from the white tiger holy beast. A ray of white light flashed and information about the book automatically appeared in his mind. The great divine weapon art was a Taoist scripture that was born from the innate Dao. It had incredible power and could control the innate chi at will to evolve various weapons. Feng Zichen had already experienced the power of this art. It was indeed extraordinary. Previously, the white tiger holy beast had used this art to turn the innate metal origin into countless weapons and attacked him like a storm. If it wasn't for Feng Zichen's recent improvement in his cultivation, he might not have been able to pass the white tiger holy beast's test without using any spiritual treasures. Furthermore, according to the white tiger holy beast, this art could be passed down to the human race. This would undoubtedly increase the foundation of the human race. One must know that a Taoist scripture that was born from the innate Tao like the great divine weapon art was born with great luck. Those who cultivated this art could increase their strength and their luck at the same time. The more profound one's understanding of this art, the more luck one would obtain. It was truly magical. Otherwise, how could one live up to the innate Tao? Sacred Master, I obtained this from the inheritance of the great Taoist priests. It contains the fortune of the great Tao. It might be useful to you. Feng Zichen said as he took out the Chaos Origin Stone with the Chaos Demon God imprint and handed it to the White Tiger Holy Beast. He had prepared one for each of the 5 elemental sacred beasts. Since it was a visit and he had a request, how could he go empty-handed? The Chaos Demon God imprint. To think that you were able to obtain such a treasure. Such a fortuitous encounter is truly the envy of others. Sensing the aura of the Chaos Demon God, the White Tiger Holy Beast was obviously a little surprised and joked. It's all thanks to the great Taoist priest's kindness. Feng Zichen said modestly, knowing that the White Tiger Holy Beast was joking. Sacred Master, if there's nothing important, Zichen will take his leave first. After chatting for a while, Feng Zichen said goodbye. He had already obtained the innate metal element origin, and obtained the great divine weapon art. This was an unexpected surprise. It could be said that he had gained a lot on this trip. He also gave the Chaos Origin Stone to the White Tiger Holy Beast. After calculating the time, it was time for him to leave. That's true. You still have to go to the North Pole later to visit the old turtle Black Tortoise. I won't keep you. You can go now. Knowing that Feng Zichen had reached the critical moment of breaking through the Daluo Jingxian, the White Tiger Holy Beast didn't ask him to stay. He waved his hand and signaled for him to leave. Then, Zichen will take his leave first. When I have achieved my great Tao in the future, I will come back to thank you. After bowing to the White Tiger Holy Beast, Feng Zichen turned around and left. However, the White Tiger Holy Beast seemed to have thought of something and suddenly called out to him. Wait, I suddenly thought of something. The old turtle Black Tortoise, besides his amazing defensive power, is also. Speaking of this, the White Tiger Holy Beast's face changed as if he had thought of something bad. After a while, he returned to normal and continued to say, his achievement in the Tao of divination is at the peak of perfection. Few people in the untainted land can compare with him. The future of your swordsmanship is uncertain. You can ask him for advice and let him show you a way forward. Moreover, the human tribe will face a great calamity in the future. You can also ask him for advice and see if he can calculate a way out for the human tribe. As an old rival and friend of many years, the White Tiger Holy Beast was naturally very familiar with the Black Tortoise Holy Beast. Thinking of his ability, the White Tiger Holy Beast couldn't help but suggest to Feng Zichen. Thank you, Holy Beast. Feng Zichen's eyes lit up and he expressed his gratitude to the White Tiger Holy Beast. The Black Tortoise Holy Beast was comparable to a sage. With his achievement in the Tao of divination, he might be able to calculate a way out for the human tribe. Even if he couldn't, it would be great to show Feng Zichen the way forward. Anyway, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Chapter 192. Boom! Just as Feng Zichen was about to leave, a huge roar came from afar, shaking the whole untainted land. The roar spread to the far west, like thunder, and exploded in Feng Zichen's ears. He was so shocked that he staggered. What happened? Feng Zichen came to his senses and was full of doubts. Just as he was about to ask the White Tiger Sacred Beast, he heard a furious voice resounding in the eldritch land. Friend, no! Mingyi, Kuan-Peng, you are courting death. The voice was extremely shrill, mixed with indescribable hatred and unparalleled killing intent. It kept echoing in the untainted land. Feng Zichen could not help but tremble when he heard it. His hair stood on end, and he could not help but feel fear. Whose voice is that? So powerful. Just a voice is enough to make me feel fear. If the deity himself comes, it will be terrible. I'm afraid he can kill me easily with a thought. Feng Zichen was shocked, suppressing the fear in his heart. At the same time, he was very confused. Untainted land. What on earth happened? Why was there such a shocking change? Red Cloud Taoist is dead. Just now, he was killed by Mingyi Taoist and Kuan-Peng Taoist. He had no choice but to self-destruct. At this moment, the White Tiger Saint Beast said leisurely with an inexplicable meaning. Feng Zichen understood what had happened. Red Cloud is dead? The voice just now should be Zhen Yuanzi's. Combining the memories of the later generations, Feng Zichen gradually figured out the reason. The tribulation of Red Cloud should be caused by the purple qi of Hongmeng. In the Purple Cloud Palace, there were 6 seats, representing the 6 sages of the later generations. At that time, the 3 pure ones came early and each took 1 seat. Nuwa took 1 seat with the help of Fushi. Red Cloud Taoist took another seat. Kuan-Peng Taoist took the last seat because he was fast. Logically speaking, the 6 sages of today should be the 6 of them. Unfortunately, after the 2 people from the west rushed over and complained tearfully, Taoist Red Cloud, for some unknown reason, suddenly became compassionate and gave up his position. If that was all, it would be fine. However, Taoist Red Cloud's actions not only caused Taoist Kuan-Peng to lose his seat and be chased down, causing him to suffer great humiliation, but also caused him to miss the opportunity to become a saint. How could he not hate Red Cloud Taoist? In the 3rd sermon, Taoist Hongjun conferred the title of 6 sages and bestowed upon them the foundation of Tao, the primordial violet qi. Apart from that, there was also the 7th strand of Hongmeng purple qi that landed in Taoist Red Cloud's hands. Red Cloud Taoists to the purple Red Cloud Taoist became his anger, and his to kill too.
He hated the primeval Lord of Heaven for scolding him as someone who was born from a wet egg and had hair and horns. He had suffered great humiliation. He hated Xianxia to cause trouble for no reason and drive him out of his seat.
Of course, he hated Red Cloud the most.
If he had not been so meddlesome, there would not have been a series of events.
His hatred and anger finally reached its peak after the appearance of the 6 sages. As a result, today's disaster was caused. Kunpeng Taoist and Mingyi Taoist joined forces to kill Red Cloud Taoist. Red Cloud Taoist was a famous good guy in the primordial world.
He was a blessed immortal. At the same time, he was also one of the few experts in the primordial world.
He was a top-notch great magician and a reserve of the sages. His sudden death naturally caused a huge commotion. First of all, the first to sense Red Cloud Taoist's death was not his best friend, Jianghu, but the 2 Western sages on Mount Meru. Fellow Taoist Red Cloud.
Sigh.
Looking in the direction of Red Cloud Taoist's death, the 2 Western sages had complicated expressions. They opened their mouths and wanted to say something. However, when they thought of their situation, they could not say anything even if they had thousands of words.
They could only sigh helplessly and remain silent, no longer paying attention to this matter.
There was some relief, some regret, some sadness, some joy, and some relief in their sighs. All kinds of emotions were intertwined. It could be said that they had mixed feelings. It represented the complicated thoughts of the 2 Western sages. The 2 of them could become sages all because of Red Cloud Taoist and the Purple Cloud Palace. Sages were just not tainted by negative karma. Not karma. How great was the karma of becoming a sage? With the wealth of Xianxia and Jianghu, even if they emptied their family's wealth and gave the entire Mount Meru to Red Cloud, it would not be enough. Of course, even if they could gather enough treasures to repay the karma of becoming a sage, the 2 of them would not give them to Red Cloud. Xianxia and Jianghu's ambition was to prosper the Western sect and restore the Western sect to its ancient prosperity. With so many treasures, wouldn't it be good to use them to nurture the Western sect? If they gave them to Red Cloud, the Western sect, which was already barren, would be even more barren. In that case, how could they develop? How could they prosper the Western sect? Therefore, ever since the Tao ancestor had set the 6 sage positions in the Purple Cloud Palace, Xianxia and Jianghu had been hiding from Red Cloud. They were afraid that when they met him, they would mention the matter of giving up their seats that day. Red Cloud was a good person.
He had a carefree personality and did not like to cause trouble.
If Xianxia and Jianghu did not come to him, he would not take the initiative to go to the West and tell them about the karma of becoming a sage.
This made them worried.
Xianxia and Jianghu heaved a sigh of relief. Now that Red Cloud Taoist had died, the 2 of them were completely relieved. The karma of becoming a sage was so great that the 2 of them could not afford to pay it back. Even if Red Cloud Taoist had never come to them because of this matter. However, as long as this matter was not resolved, it would hang in their hearts. Over time, it gradually became a flaw in their hearts and affected their daily cultivation. Once Red Cloud Taoist died, the karma of becoming a sage completely dissipated with the wind and no longer existed.
It could be said that a big worry of the 2 of them had been relieved. In the future, they would find an opportunity to send Red Cloud Taoist back and plan for him to be a karma of heaven and earth.
The karma of becoming a sage was almost settled.
For the 2 of them in the West, the accidental death of Red Cloud Taoist was a matter of killing several birds with one stone. This was also the reason why the 2 of them did not do anything even though they had the ability to save Red Cloud from Mingyi and Kunpeng.
The 2 of them in the West thought of the future and chose to stand by and watch. However, Xianxia, who was as close to Red Cloud Taoist as a brother, exploded on the spot after learning of his death. In the 5 villages temple, Xianxia soared into the sky and suddenly threw out the earth book. It was connected to the 10 earth veins and activated the power of the primitive land. With a murderous intent that shook the primitive land, he brazenly attacked Mingyi and Kunpeng.
Rumble!
Knowing the strength of the other party, Taoist Mingyi did not dare to be careless. The Yuan-Tu and Avicii swords were out together. The blood-red sword light surged and swept across the wilderness, colliding with the power of the earth. Chapter 193. On the other side, Taoist Kunping also activated the Demon Master Palace. A strange demonic light flashed, and ancient demon clan characters appeared from it, moving toward Zenyuanzi according to an inexplicable rhythm. However, the two of them were already seriously injured because of Hong Yun's self-explosion. Now that they were fighting with Zenyuanzi who was going all out, they could not help but fall into a disadvantageous position. Unlucky. After several moves, the two of them secretly cursed their bad luck. They found a chance to force Zenyuanzi away with all their strength, and fled into the distance. Thieves don't go. Seeing that the two of them were about to escape, Zenyuanzi, who swore to avenge Taoist Hong Yun, would not let them go. He immediately shouted, activated the Earth Book, and chased after them. At this time, the two of them were seriously injured, and their strength was less than 100%. It was the best time to kill them. If they missed this day, with Zenyuanzi's strength, it would be impossible for him to kill the two of them and avenge Taoist Hong Yun. However, Zenyuanzi had not gone far when he saw from the corner of his eye that after Taoist Hong Yun's death, the origin that was lost in this place suddenly began to disperse, and slowly return to the world. This congenital origin was transformed from Taoist Hong Yun's cultivation. It was the result of his hard cultivation for hundreds of millions of years. At the same time, it was also what he relied on to quickly recover his strength after his resurrection. It was related to his future, and he could not afford to lose it. Feeling anxious, Zenyuanzi did not have time to chase after Kunping and Mingi. He quickly stopped and used his magic to collect the scattered origin of Hong Yun. On the other side, the top powerful divines in the untainted land sensed that Taoist Hong Yun had died, and they all looked at this place, their eyes full of greed. Among the top powerful divines in the untainted land, except for a few, the rest were from the Purple Cloud Palace. How could they not know that Taoist Hong Yun had the foundation to become a saint? Hongmeng Purple Qi. Now that Taoist Hong Yun had died, the Hongmeng Purple Qi had become ownerless. How could the powerful divines not be tempted? Mighty divine thoughts surged out, shaking the boundless universe, and swept toward this place one after another, searching for the whereabouts of the Hongmeng Purple Qi. When Red Cloud Taoist was alive, he was a top mighty in the late stage of sage to be. His congenital origin was so strong that it was not difficult for him to refine a supreme-grade congenital spiritual treasure. Not all of the great mediums present were wealthy people. It was inevitable that some of them were short of money. When they saw the innate origin left behind by Taoist Red Cloud, they could not help but have other thoughts. Fellow Taoists, Poor Wei is not interested in Hongming's purple aura. I'm only here to collect fellow Taoists' belongings. I hope that fellow Taoists won't go too far. Zenyuanzi, who was collecting Red Cloud's origin, said coldly when he saw someone secretly stealing Red Cloud's connate origin. Who was Zenyuanzi? He was the great hero of the east of the untainted world. The world respected him as the ancestor of the earth immortals. People might not be afraid of him, but they had to give him face. After all, they still had to rely on him to resist the barren aura of the West. If they pushed Zenyuanzi too far and provoked him to quit, it would not be so easy to find another mighty person who could selflessly sort out the ley lines of the untainted world. Therefore, the several people who secretly took action quickly withdrew their magic, cut off their greed, and focused on searching for the whereabouts of Hongming's purple aura. Hey! Why isn't it here? Why is the Hongming's purple aura gone? Could it be that it has been taken away by Taoist Mingi? The divine thoughts of the great medium swept over the place several times, but they did not find any trace of Hongming's purple aura. They could not help but be puzzled and turned their attention to Taoist Mingi. Red Cloud Taoist was killed by Taoist Mingi. If they were to talk about who was most likely to get Hongming's purple aura, Taoist Mingi was the most likely. However, although they had their guesses, they were not in a hurry to take action. Instead, they looked at Mount Meru in the west. They were waiting for Janine to make a move. As everyone knew, it was all thanks to Red Cloud Taoist that Janine could become a saint. Now that Hong Yun had been killed, the two of them owed such a huge debt of karma. They would not be indifferent. They would definitely kill Mingi and Kuan Pang to appease Taoist Hong Yun's soul in heaven. However, after waiting for a while, there was no movement from Mount Meru. It was as if the two saints had not noticed this. This, Red Cloud Taoist's death was such a big movement that it could be said to have shocked the entire untainted land. How could the saints not notice it? At this time, they still did not take action.
How could the crowd not understand that the two saints were not ready to intervene in this matter? Suddenly, the great mediums looked at the west with strange eyes, full of indescribable meaning. Among them, Zhenyuanzi was the most confused. He stared at Mount Meru fiercely. His eyes seemed to be spitting fire. With Janine's strength, it was easy for him to save Red Cloud. However, they stood by and ignored Red Cloud's death. It was obvious that they wanted to avoid the karma of becoming a saint. Their character could be seen from this. Janine, what you did this time is not responsible at all. You are calling yourself a saint in vain. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Zhenyuanzi could not suppress the anger in his heart and could not help but curse. His voice was mighty and spread throughout the untainted land, surprising all living beings. They did not know who was so bold to insult the saints. On Mount Meru, Zhenyuanzi heard Zhenyuanzi's words and could not help but shake his head with a bitter smile. It was not that they did not want to kill Mingi and Kuanping, but that they could not. Kuanping, the master of the demon clan, was in charge of the demon clan's education. If they killed him, they would be counterattacked by the demon clan's fate and be punished by karma. Mingi, the master of the Nether Blood Sea, was said to be immortal as long as the Blood Sea did not dry up. If they wanted to kill him, they had to completely destroy the Blood Sea. It was not difficult for the saints to destroy the Blood Sea. However, the Nether Blood Sea gathered the evil aura between heaven and earth. Once something happened, the evil aura would spread to all parts of the untainted land and cause a boundless catastrophe. At that time, there would be endless karma gathering. Although the saints did not have negative karma, they were not afraid of that. However, if the negative karma did not disappear, it would follow the connection of the saints and spread to their disciples, making it impossible for their cultivation level to improve. The Western sect would never be able to stand out. The saint position of Janine was closely related to the Western sect. If the Western sect could not prosper and the heavenly Tao settle the score, the two of them would definitely not end well. In that case, how could they dare to attack Mingi and Kuanping? Even if they would be looked down upon by the great mystical abilities of the primordial world, they could only pinch their noses and accept it. They could only pretend that they did not hear Zhenyuanzi's scolding. It had to be said that compared to the four saints, the three pure ones and Yuhua, the two saints of the Western sect were really aggrieved. They had to be wary of the Western sect no matter what they did. They could not do this or that. They were restrained everywhere and had completely lost the original intention of the immortal Tao being carefree. Chapter 194. Humph. Knowing that the two sages of the West would not intervene, Zhenyuanzi snorted. He put away Red Cloud's origin and many relics and rushed to Longevity Mountain. Fellow Taoist, please wait. At this time, a figure whose face could not be seen clearly and whose whole body was covered in divine light walked out of the void and stopped Zhenyuanzi. Who is this fellow Taoist who is joking with poor Wei and blocking her way? Zhenyuanzi could not recognize the person after looking at him for a while, and could not help but ask. The person's breath was covered by the divine light and did not leak out at all. Even his voice was made by Dhamma power. Obviously, he did not want to reveal his identity. Fellow Taoist. Poor Wei did not come here with malice. I just want to borrow the 99 soul scattering gourd to take a look. Fellow Taoist, please do me a favor. The man first bowed to Zhenyuanzi and then said leisurely. You. Hearing this, Zhenyuanzi flew into a rage. He pointed at the man and said word by word. What do you want? Do you really think that poor Wei is easy to bully? At the end, the voice was almost like a roar. With monstrous anger, it tore through the void and suppressed the other party. The 99 soul scattering gourd was a supreme grade primordial spiritual treasure and also Red Cloud's protective treasure. This treasure was connected to Red Cloud's life. After Red Cloud's death, it might contain a trace of his true spirit, which was one of the things he relied on for his resurrection. What did this person want to do by borrowing this treasure? Should he take this opportunity to stop Red Cloud's resurrection and delay his return? Thinking of this, Zhenyuanzi was furious. After a roar, he took out the earth book and was about to hit the other party. Fellow Taoist, you misunderstood. Poor Wei has no malice toward Red Cloud. I just want to take a look at the 99 soul-scattering gourd to confirm whether Hongming's purple qi is hidden in this treasure. Now that Red Cloud has fallen into a deep sleep, the Hongming's purple qi is no longer useful. Why don't we take this treasure out and help Poor Wei and other fellow Taoists? In the future, when we have achieved something, we will kill Mingyi and Kuanping to avenge Red Cloud. Seeing that Zhen Yuanzi was suddenly furious, the person knew that there must be a misunderstanding. He quickly avoided Zhen Yuanzi's attack and explained himself. At the same time, as soon as the voice fell, dozens of huge divine thoughts suddenly appeared in the void and surrounded Zhan Yuanzi. The threat was self-evident. Taoist Red Cloud had died, and the primordial violet vapor had disappeared. Some people believed that the item had been taken away by Mingyi, while others believed that the item was still here, in the 99 soul dissipation gourd. That was why there was this scene. Compared to the importance of the primordial violet vapor, offending Zhen Yuanzi was nothing. Moreover, dozens of people attacked together. Even if Zhen Yuanzi wanted to argue, he had to think twice. Well, since you want to see it, Poor Wei will show it to you. Zhen Yuanzi was furious, but he did not even call them fellow Taoists. It was true that no one could keep a good temper when threatened by dozens of acquaintances. Zhen Yuanzi did not explode on the spot, not because he had a good temper, but because he could not defeat the group of people in front of him. If not, Zhen Yuanzi would definitely teach them a lesson and let them know what it meant to be an ancestor of Earth immortals. However, he was not happy to be forced. Zhen Yuanzi took out a fiery red gourd from his arms and pulled out the cork. Suddenly, endless red sand gushed out and swept over millions of miles. Ah! Damn it! It's the soul-scattering sand. Zhen Yuanzi was so fast that before anyone could react, their soul-scattering divine thoughts were shrouded by the endless red sand and kept melting. Only the person who came in person held up the protective divine light and blocked all the red sand, so he was not hurt. Taking this opportunity, everyone looked at the inside of the soul-scattering gourd, looking for traces of the Hongmeng purple qi. Not here. It seems that the Hongmeng purple qi should be taken by Mingyi. However, after a while, everyone frowned and withdrew their soul-scattering divine thoughts. The Hongmeng purple qi was not in the soul-scattering gourd. Let's go! Immediately, several people looked at each other and chased after Mingyi without hesitation. Fellow Taoist, why don't you make way? Zhen Yuanzi raised the soul-scattering gourd in his hand and said to the person in front of him, Fellow Taoist, goodbye. Glancing at the gourd in Zhen Yuanzi's hand, the person bowed and disappeared. It was no wonder that he was afraid. The soul-scattering gourd had a great origin and was extremely powerful. On Mount Buzhou, there was a connate gourd vine, which was one of the top 10 connate spiritual roots in the untainted land. This spiritual root was extraordinary and gave birth to a total of 9 powerful numinous treasures. Since the untainted land was created, it had been bathing in Panga's aura, feeling the mysteries of the great Tao and growing continuously. Gradually, 7 connate gourds were born. After Tao ancestor Hongjuan's first Tao lecture, the 7 gourds were completely mature and attracted 7 fated people. The 3 pure ones, Niuhua, Dijun, Taiyi, and Hongyun. The first gourd to mature was a purple gold gourd, which contained the qi of yin and yang. It could shrink people and hold things, turning them into thick water in a short time. It was obtained by Taoist Tai Ching and refined into a purple gold gourd to store elixirs. The second gourd was black and contained the qi of chaos. It was obtained by Taoist Yuqing and refined into a chaos gourd, which could evolve into a world with boundless power. The third gourd was yellow and contained the power of water and fire. It was obtained by Taoist Xianxia and refined into a water-fire gourd, which could produce 2 water-fire qilins to fight against enemies with great power. The fourth was a green gourd, which was obtained by Niuhua and refined into a demon refining gourd, which could seize the vitality of all living beings to obtain the qi of creation. The fifth was a green gourd, which was obtained by Dijun and refined into a demon summoning banner, which contained the true spirits of thousands of demons and commanded billions of demons. The sixth was a white gourd, which fell into the hands of the Donghuang Taiyi. It was infused with connate murderous aura and refined into the immortal slaying gourd. Under a ray of light, countless mighty figures of the untainted land were killed. The seventh gourd was 3 feet and 3 inches in size. It was a fiery red and crystalline gourd, a treasure that grew from a connate spirit root.
It was obtained by Hong Yun and refined for countless years to become a connate spirit treasure. It contained endless red muslin that covered the sky and earth, which could disperse one's soul. The 7 gourds were all gone, and the connate gourd vine withered and died. At this moment, Nua's heart stirred. She went forward and took away the withered gourd vine and the soil that nurtured it. Later on, Nua used these 2 treasures to create humans. She used soil and mud, and with the gourd vine dipped in mud, humans were created. These 2 treasures had names: Man Creating Whip and 9 Heavens Living Soil. These 9 treasures were extraordinary to begin with. Because they were born in Mount Buzhou, they were tainted with a trace of Panga's aura, which made them even more mysterious. Coupled with the nurturing of their owner, their power could be said to be terrifying. Chapter 195. On the Sun Star, Di Jun and Tai silently watched what was happening below. When they saw that the Hongmeng purple chi was not in the 99 soul scattering gourd, Tai suddenly said to Di Jun, "Brother, it seems that the Hongmeng purple chi is very likely to fall into Mingyi's hands." "Wait a moment. I will get it for you." Without waiting for Di Jun's reply, Tai turned into a long rainbow and flew toward the Nether Blood Sea. It's a pity for Red Cloud Taoist. He was originally the first red cloud in the world. He was blessed with endless luck. However, in the Purple Cloud Palace, a single mistake caused him to be schemed against by Taoist Hong Jun and fall to the end of his life. Hundreds of millions of years of bitter cultivation turned into flowing water in a day. In the extreme west, White Tiger Holy Beast sighed when he saw the death of Red Cloud Taoist. But this calm sigh was like a clap of thunder in Feng Zichen's ears, which shocked him so much that he was a little dazed. According to White Tiger Holy Beast's words, Red Cloud Taoist's death was caused by Hong Jun Taoist's scheme. This was really a first-class secret in the world. If this matter was spread out, it would definitely cause a great disturbance. It would damage the dignity of Taoist ancestor. It would inevitably make a group of great mediums feel sad for the death of a rabbit. Today, Taoist ancestor tricked Red Cloud. It was possible that Taoist ancestor would not trick them tomorrow. "Holy Master, I've been here long enough. I won't bother you anymore. Zichen, I'll leave first." This matter involved Taoist ancestor Hong Jun. Although Feng Zichen was curious, he was worried about his life and did not dare to continue listening. He immediately planned to leave. Hong Jun was the real #1 person in the untainted world. White Tiger Holy Beast's words were nothing. After all, he was powerful and Hong Jun could not do anything to him. If Feng Zichen talked nonsense, no one knew what would happen next. "You little brat, you're really a coward." What kind of person was the White Tiger Holy Beast? When he saw Feng Zichen in such a hurry to leave, he thought for a moment and understood the reason. He couldn't help but scold him with a smile. "This place is one of the 4 levels of heaven and earth. Hong Juan's hand can't reach here. He can't hear anything bad about him here. I'm telling you about this matter. Just treat it as a way to broaden your horizons or as a lesson." Perhaps it was because it hadn't seen anyone for a long time. The White Tiger Sacred Beast was a little talkative today. It pulled Feng Zichen aside, wanting to tell him some secrets of heaven and earth. "As you wish, Your Holiness." Feng Zichen replied with an embarrassed smile. Since the White Tiger Holy Beast had already put it this way, he couldn't very well refuse. In addition, he was really curious in his heart. So he decided to stay. Back then, when Taoist Hong Jun established the Celestial Sect of Wonders, he prepared 6 saint positions for the disciples of the sect. As such, including him, the Celestial Sect of Wonders has exactly 7 saints. This is called, number starts from 1, stands at 3, completes at 5, flourishes at 7, and stands at 9. According to Taoist Hong Juan's original plan, the Celestial Sect of Wonders could continue to prosper with 7 saints in charge. But who knew that Taoist Hong Yun would give away the saint positions that he had obtained to the 2 people from the Western sect? The Western sect is the base camp of the ancient demon sect. There are traces of the demon sect everywhere. The quintessential guide was more or less influenced by the demon sect when he came here. If you study the so-called Western mystical method carefully, you can see the shadow of many demon sect classics. In this case, how could Hong Jun take a fancy to them? At this point, the White Tiger paused and said to Feng Zichen, You have come into contact with the Western mystical method and the demon sex mystical method. Think about it and see if there are any similarities between the two. After hearing what the white tiger sacred beast said, Feng Zichen counted carefully and found that it was really the case. The Western sect was good at bewitching people and had a deep understanding of the Tao of the heart. It was the same for the demon sect. The difference was that the demon sect's mystical method was activated with murderous aura. It looked sinister and terrifying. On the other hand, the Western mystical method was activated with spiritual energy. It looked magnificent, holy, and majestic. Its appearance was many times stronger than the demon sect's mystical method. However, once these appearances were removed, one would discover that the demon sect and the Western sect's mystical method were actually not much different. They were derived from the same system and had two different philosophies. Thinking of the battle between the demon sect and the Buddhist sect in the future, Feng Zichen seemed to have vaguely understood something. The battle of philosophies was the most terrifying. Heretics were often more deserving of death than heretics. Moreover, following this train of thought, Feng Zichen discovered more things that were wrong. In the East, there were many connate god fiends. They traveled in groups of 3 to 5. They either traveled around or sat down to discuss the Tao. They gathered the wisdom of everyone and opened up the Daluo Tao path, causing the Daluo Jingxian to emerge endlessly, resulting in the prosperity of the East today. As for the West, it had been affected by the ancient immortal fiend war and had long declined. There were very few connate god fiends that were born. The two of them, Zhu and Ti, had no one to teach them or discuss the Tao. They had only relied on the barren West to cultivate the Daluo Jingxian. They were not weaker than some of the top mighty figures in the East. Was that possible? If that was true, wouldn't it mean that the connate god fiends of the East were a bunch of trash? A large group of people had sat down to discuss the Tao for so many years and occupied the best grotto heavens. They were even better than the two of them who cultivated alone in the barren West. If they were not trash, what were they? Of course, the connate god fiends of the East could not be trash. According to this, the achievements of the two of them in the West naturally had something to do with the demon sect. Zhu and Ti were born with the last destiny of the West. They were wholeheartedly oriented towards the West. Between the interests of the Xian sect and the interests of the West, they would definitely choose the West. They came to the Xian sect to learn the Tao without any intentions. They wanted to harm the East and benefit the West. With Hongjuan's cultivation level, how could he not see that? Therefore, before the lecture in the Purple Cloud Palace, he secretly used his methods to drag the two of them in the chaos with the intention of stopping them from entering the Purple Cloud Palace. Unfortunately, man proposes but God disposes. At the last moment, although they were late, the two of them still rushed to the Purple Cloud Palace. After that, Hongyun gave way to them, causing Hongjuan's hundreds of schemes to fail. He had no choice but to grit his teeth and accept these two disciples. After all, they owe the West. They have to pay it back. Hearing this, Feng Zichen was also surprised. He did not expect that there was such a reason why the two of them from the West arrived at the Purple Cloud Palace last. Without the guidance of the heavenly Tao, the two of them would not have been able to find the Purple Cloud Palace, let alone enter. Taoist Hongyun divided the two saint positions of the Xian sect, causing the Xian sect to be unable to prosper forever. With Taoist Hongjuan's personality, how could he tolerate him? Therefore, Hongjun gave Hongmeng purple qi to Hongyun, but did not say that he could become a saint. Isn't this telling everyone that if you want to become a saint, you can snatch it? Chapter 196. What's funny is that Hongyun thought that this was a great opportunity and was happy all day long, dreaming of becoming a sage. He didn't know that this was Hongjuan's way of hastening his death, which could take his life at any time. White Tiger Sacred Beast's words completely overturned Feng Zichen's understanding of Tao ancestor Hongjun. If White Tiger Sacred Beast had not said this, Feng Zichen would not have believed it at all. Tao ancestor Hongjun was recognized as the greatest figure in the untainted land. He was the one who opened up the mystery of the Great Way for all living beings, passed down the Great Way of Wonders, and gave all living beings a way to advance, giving them the possibility of becoming Daluo Jingxian. At the same time, he was also the one who confirmed the Sage-to-be realm, giving all the Daluo Jingxian a way to advance, one step closer to the primordial Daluo Jingxian. After that,
Tao ancestor Hongjun sacrificed himself and merged with the great way of heaven, making the untainted land more perfect, benefiting all living beings in the untainted land. Feng Zichen could not accept that Tao ancestor Hongjun, a man of great virtue and virtue, had become such a scheming person in the eyes of White Tiger Sacred Beast. Don't you find it unbelievable that Tao ancestor Hongjun, the teacher of all living beings, has such a side to him that no one knows? White Tiger Sacred Beast seemed to have noticed Feng Zichen's surprise and said with a smile, "It is indeed unbelievable." Feng Zichen touched his head and said with a wry smile. At the same time, he also understood that if Tao ancestor Hongjun was a man of great virtue and did not scheme, how could he have survived from the primordial age until now? He would have been killed by others. Humph.
Hongjun is good at pretending. He always acts like a good man.
But all the old people who have survived from the primordial age and the antiquity age know his background.
Hongjun is the best at scheming, and he is very evil.
With a cold snort, the White Tiger Holy Beast seemed to have recalled some unpleasant memories and said in an unpleasant tone.
In the ancient times, Hongjun, that old fellow, relied on the fact that he was born early and seized countless fortunes. Even the West was not able to escape from his evil hands. In ancient times, he clearly knew that the demon ancestor Rahu was scheming against us, but he didn't say anything to remind us. He just happily watched our three races fight to the death. Later on, Hongjun saw that Luo Ho's strength had increased rapidly with the help of the heaven and earth tribulation chi. He was gradually no longer a match for him. Then, he hurriedly ran to the three clans and told us about the demonic path's conspiracy. He advised us to put down our hatred and fight against the demonic path together with him. Then, we naively believed Hongjun's nonsense and led the remaining experts of the three clans to Mount Meru in the west to engage in a life-and-death battle with the demon sect. Because none of the reinforcements that Hongjun promised in advance came. After a great battle, all the experts of the three clans were killed or injured. We were also severely injured. The wilderness was also almost destroyed by us. Of course, since we were so severely injured, the demon sect couldn't be any better. Other than the demon ancestor Rahu, all the experts of the demon sect were either dead or injured. The strength of the demon sect was greatly reduced. At this time, Hongjun suddenly rushed over with a group of celestial venerables of the celestial sect of wonders. Taking advantage of the demon sect's great reduction in strength, they crazily attacked Mount Meru. As for that traitor Hongjun, forget about him doing such a treacherous thing. At that time, he pretended to persuade us to transform into the five-element sacred beasts and suppress the wilderness to eliminate the sins of the three clans. Bah! To think that Hongjun looked like a good old man.
He kept saying that it was for our good. If it was really for our good, why didn't the reinforcements that were promised come during the battle? Why did they have to wait until the battle was over to suddenly appear and rush over to take advantage of us?
This is clearly using our three clans as spears. He still wants us to be grateful. Hongjun is really dreaming. To think that we trusted him so much back then. We were really blind. What nonsense is this about transforming into the five-element sacred beasts to eliminate the sins of the three clans? It's obvious that Hongjun was no match for Rahu and had to borrow our strength to weaken Rahu's strength. Hongjun's actions are clearly all for his own sake, but from his mouth, it's all for our own good. It's as if we don't agree, the three clans will be exterminated. It's really depressing. The more the White Tiger Sacred Beast spoke, the angrier it became. In the end, it was almost roaring. It almost jumped up, pointed at the sky, and scolded Hongjun. What happened after that? Why was the Tao ancestor still no match for the demon ancestor when the strength of the demon sect was greatly reduced? Feng Zichen was listening excitedly when the White Tiger Sacred Beast suddenly stopped. It made him feel uncomfortable and he couldn't help but ask. What Feng Zichen knew about such ancient secrets were all legends of later generations and were often a little distorted. Now, the person who had experienced it personally told him about the old story buried deep in the past. What a great opportunity this was! Who didn't want to know the truth about the ups and downs of the ancient past and the great war of immortals and demons that affected later generations? Although the White Tiger Sacred Beast's words were subjective and had some prejudice, it was much more real than the legends. What the White Tiger Sacred Beast said had greatly subverted Feng Zichen's previous understanding.
The upright and selfless ancestor Hongjun, who preached the untainted land, had such a despicable dark history. The truth that led to the decline of the three clans was completely different from the version that was circulated in the untainted land. Everyone knew that at the end of the ancient times, the three clans were instigated by the demon ancestor Rahu and a shocking war broke out. A group of experts died because of it, and the untainted land was almost shattered. Fortunately, Ancestor Hongjun came forward and persuaded the leaders of the three clans to transform into the five-element sacred beasts to suppress the untainted land and stabilize the four poles of the world. This move not only perfectly solved the destruction of the untainted land, but also made the untainted land further perfect. It was really a move of immeasurable merit. Today, Feng Zichen learned the truth of the past from the white tiger sacred beast, which was completely different from the well-known facts. The reason for the decline of the three clans was the decisive battle with the demon sect. This was really beyond his imagination. If the news spread, he didn't know what kind of uproar it would cause. In the untainted land, this matter had not been spread at all. Without thinking carefully, it must have been done by Ancestor Hongjun. Because all the credit for the battle with the demon sect was on the Xian sect. From this, it could be inferred that it was Ancestor Hongjun who blocked the news, concealed the truth of the matter, and took everything on the Xian sect. Otherwise, in the untainted land, who would dare to offend the five-element sacred beasts at the same time and completely erase the credit of the three clans in the great war of immortals and demons? Only Ancestor Hongjun had such a powerful strength. Not only was he not afraid of the five-element sacred beasts, but he also made them afraid. If it were others, the five-element sacred beasts would have already attacked them. They would not be like today, hiding in the four poles and acting as if nothing had happened. Chapter 197. Hongjun is very scheming. He used our three clans to weaken the power of the demon sect. He wanted to destroy the demon sect at the smallest price. The truth was just as he thought. Our three clans fought to the death and finally dealt a heavy blow to the demon sect. When the demon sect faced the encirclement of the Xian sect, they were defeated and had no power to resist at all. Unfortunately, Hongjun didn't expect that the battle between our three clans and the demon sect would shake the universe. It made the four poles of the untainted land lose balance and was in danger of being overturned at any time. The destruction of the world was imminent. It immediately stirred up endless evil spirits that surged from all directions and swept across the entire untainted land. With this help, the strength of the demon ancestor Luo Ho rose steadily. He almost broke into the realm of primordial chaos Daluo Jingxian. He suppressed a group of Xian sect celestial primes by himself and beat them until they couldn't fight back. Hongjun had no choice but to let the five of us transform into the five-element sacred beasts to suppress the four poles of the world to stabilize the untainted land and calm the innate evil spirits that swept across the untainted land. When the five of us were at our peak, we might have been able to fight Hongjun at that time. But at that time, we were seriously injured and were no match for Hongjun at all. It seems that Hongjun means that if we don't agree, he doesn't mind doing it himself and sending us to the throne of the five-element sacred beasts. What's more, that bastard Hongjun always talks about the three clans. He always asks us to think more for the three clans. It seems that he's thinking for the three clans, but in fact, he's secretly threatening us. If we don't agree with his proposal, the three clans will be in danger of being exterminated in an instant. At this point, the tone of the white tiger sacred beast changed. It was almost gnashing its teeth as it spoke. Its face was distorted as if there was endless hatred surging in its heart. It could be seen that even after so many years, the white tiger sacred beast was still brooding over this matter. Its heart was filled with hatred for Hongjun. Feng Zichen had some understanding of this. If someone threatened him with his life and the survival of the human tribe when he was seriously injured and forced him to do something he was unwilling to do, it would be a great loss for him to do so. For the sake of the human race, Feng Zichen would definitely not refuse. However, at the same time, he was naturally extremely dissatisfied with the person who dared to threaten him. He simply wished that he could kill that person. Hongjun's heart is black. He's really ruthless. Since I'm weaker than you, I have no choice but to lower my head. No matter how dissatisfied and unwilling we are, we have to consider the three clans. We can only agree to Hongjun's request. Transformed into the five-elemental sacred beast, suppressed in the four extremities,
completely losing his freedom. After we became the 5-element sacred beasts, the great desolate world immediately stabilized. The boundless innate baleful aura disappeared, and the strength of the demon ancestor Rahu decreased accordingly. The celestial lord of the celestial sect of wonders, who was originally at a disadvantage, gradually gained the upper hand and completely suppressed Luo Ho. However, fiend ancestor Rahu is ultimately a chaos fiend celestial. The spokesperson he chose in the primordial world has a deep heritage and endless means. Despite being at an absolute disadvantage, he set up the immortal slaying sword formation, withstanding the attacks of 3 connate ultimate treasures and 4 pre-saints to kill all the immortal sovereigns of the Xian sect. Only Hong Jun relied on his spiritual treasures to survive safely. After that, he took advantage of Rahu's exhaustion to summon the 3 corpses, forcing him to self-destruct and die. The immortal sovereigns of the Xian sect fell in the immortal slaying sword formation. Their true spirits were tainted by the connate tribulation qi, and the chances of them returning were slim. The Dharma treasures they left behind were all taken away by Hong Jun. It can be said that the prosperity of the Xian sect today is built on the bones of those immortal sovereigns of the Xian sect. They exchanged their lives for it. Hong Jun is just a thief. He stole the results of these immortal sovereigns of the Xian sect and took all the merit and glory for himself. Perhaps the death of those immortal sovereigns of the Xian sect was caused by Hong Jun's scheme. Otherwise, why would he wait until the immortal sovereigns of the Xian sect died before summoning the 3 corpses to fight the enemy? Why would he have done it earlier? These speculations were all inferred by the white tiger sacred beast after the ancient times when he was bored and combined with Hong Jun's character. Needless to say, when he thought about it, it did make some sense. However, whether or not there were subjective emotions of the white tiger sacred beast in this was not something that Feng Zichen could speculate. This is really shocking. After pondering for a moment, Feng Zichen said with some shock. The water of the untainted land was really deep. The truth of such a big thing as the ancient war could be distorted. This undoubtedly showed that the history that was being passed down in the untainted land was only what others wanted you to see and hear. As for the truth, perhaps only those who had experienced it personally would know. The untainted land is not as simple as you think. Which one of those who can live from the ancient times to the present doesn't have a dishonorable past? The truly bright and magnificent figures have long fallen in the ancient war. So when you look at anyone, don't judge them based on rumors. Because you don't know if the character that he is showing now is what he shows on the surface. In the end, the white tiger sacred beast summed up the lesson it learned and warned Feng Zichen. Yes, Zichen will remember. Feng Zichen nodded and said. The 3 tribes had been set up by Hong Jun, and they were miserable. No wonder the white tiger sacred beast said that. Haha. Tai, as long as the blood sea does not dry up, the poor way will not die. In the nether blood sea, even if you have a connate cardinal treasure, what can you do to me? Suddenly, a loud voice resounded throughout the untainted land, attracting the attention of many powerful figures. Mingyi and Tai were fighting in the nether blood sea. Interesting. Just as Feng Zichen was wondering, the white tiger sacred beast smiled faintly and waved its hand in the air. A light screen appeared, clearly reflecting everything that was happening in the blood sea. That's Donghuang Tai. In the sky above the blood sea, Donghuang Tai gently shook the Donghuang bell in his hand, causing the entire nether blood sea to shake violently. Boundless waves of blood rolled endlessly, and time and space were disordered. The Ashura tribesmen could not help but tremble under this force, and they looked at the figure in the sky in horror. As long as the blood sea does not dry up, Mingyi will not die? Then I will evaporate the entire blood sea, and let's see if Mingyi will die. Smiling coldly at the blood sea, Donghuang Tai suddenly changed into his original form, which was a huge 3-legged golden crow. The golden crow was surrounded by golden grand sun primordial fire, which was extremely hot. From afar, it looked like a small sun. Caw! Donghuang Tai let out a long caw, flapped his wings, and flew toward the blood sea. Wherever the golden crow passed, grand sun primordial fire rolled out, and terrifying heat swept in all directions, roasting the blood sea until it sizzled and evaporated. Chapter 198. Ha ha. What a joke. Tai, do you really think you're a saint? Evaporating the blood sea? How shameless!
In the depths of the Blood Sea, Mingyi noticed Dong Huangtai's actions and laughed disdainfully. The Nether Blood Sea was also known as the Boundless Blood Sea. From this, one could see how big the Blood Sea was. It was simply boundless, countless times bigger than the Great Thousand Realms. After all, the Nether Realm, which was comparable to the Heaven Realm in the future, was born in the Blood Sea. If the Blood Sea was not big enough, how could it contain the Nether Realm? Although Dong Huangtai was strong, he was too arrogant to evaporate the Nether Blood Sea. However, the true fire of the sun released terrifying heat, continuously evaporating the water of the Blood Sea, causing the surrounding water level to continuously drop. However, in just an instant, a large amount of blood water surged from other places, making up for the lack of water here. It was endless. Dong Huangtai worked for a long time, but there was no effect at all. Mingyi, I'll give you one last chance. As long as you hand over the Hongmeng purple gas, I'll immediately retreat. From then on, you'll be an honored guest of the heavenly court. The demons will never step half a step into the Blood Sea. Otherwise, I really don't mind using some methods to evaporate the Blood Sea. Dong Huangtai was not angry that he did not cause any damage to the Nether Blood Sea. He stopped in the air and gave a final ultimatum to Taoist Mingyi. Humph. Boasting. Taoist Mingyi snorted and said mockingly, I didn't expect you to still be so stubborn. Dong Huangtai, do you still think that this is the era when you're invincible? The entire Eldritch world has to listen to your orders? Poor Wei thinks that you're used to being high and mighty. You've forgotten that times have changed. Now, it's the era of the saints. You, Dong Huangtai, have long become a thing of the past. You're no longer the top expert of the Eldritch world. You came to the wrong place to show off in the Nether Blood Sea. The Blood Sea is not a place for you to behave atrociously. Evaporating the Blood Sea? What shameless boasting. If you have the ability, evaporate it for poor Wei to see. The more Mingyi Taoist spoke, the more delighted he became. His tone became arrogant as he vented out the dissatisfaction he had accumulated over the years towards Dong Huangtai. However, as if he suddenly thought of something, Taoist Mingyi's tone changed. Fellow Taoists, Hongming's purple qi is indeed not in poor Wei's body. Poor Wei could swear on this. Fellow Taoist Kuan Peng can also testify. After the poor Wei and fellow Taoist Kuan Peng killed Hongmeng, they searched every corner of the area, but they could not find the conclusion of Hongming's purple qi. This is probably what the teacher meant when he said that fate was not good enough. He was not fated with the Hongmeng purple aura. His voice was loud enough to ensure that every Daluo Jingxian could hear him. Clearly, he was explaining to the group of mighty figures. Mingyi Taoist was not a fool. He knew that the purple gas in Hongmeng had a great implication. If he did not explain, everyone would think that the purple gas in Hongmeng was in his body. At that time, with the example of Taoist Red Cloud, he would be remembered by a group of mighty figures. It would not take long for him to follow in Taoist Red Cloud's footsteps. How could Mingyi not be afraid? This matter was also very sullen. Mingyi took the risk of offending the saints and joined forces with Kuan Peng to kill Taoist Red Cloud. However, he did not get any benefits. Instead, he offended Zhen Yuanzi. He was so angry that he vomited blood. Moreover, now everyone suspected that the purple gas in Hongmeng was in his body. This was really unfair to him. From the beginning to the end, he did not see the purple gas in Hongmeng. How could he get it? Because of this groundless reason, Dong Huangtai came directly to his door. Mingyi was really suffering in his heart. He could not be the scapegoat. Once this matter was confirmed, his Nether Blood Sea would never have a peaceful day unless Dao ancestor Hongjun took action. Stubborn. Seeing Mingyi's arrogant attitude, Dong Huangtai shook his head slightly and looked disappointed. The Sun Star come. Dong Huangtai's face darkened. He suddenly shouted to the sky and used his supreme magic to establish contact with the Sun Star hanging high in the sky. Rumble. The Sun Star suddenly shook. Infinite light burst out from its body, illuminating the universe and raising the temperature of the entire untainted land. Then, in front of Taoist Mingyi's disbelieving eyes, the void suddenly twisted. A huge figure gradually emerged from it, dazzling. It was the Sun Star that crossed the infinite space and was about to descend to the Blood Sea. In an instant,
Infinite waves swept out. A large part of the blood sea disappeared instantly, and did not recover for a long time. Tai, are you crazy? How could you bring the sun star to the blood sea? Do you know that the blood sea is the home of all living beings and the place where the evil spirits of heaven and earth gather? If the blood sea evaporates, infinite karma will descend. No matter how strong your demon clan is, it will be difficult for you to escape the fate of destruction. Taoist Mingi was really scared when he saw the sun star descending. The sun star was formed by Pangu's left eye. It was also the embodiment of the extreme yang of heaven and earth. It contained power that was beyond the imagination of people. If it really descended to the blood sea, it might really evaporate the blood sea. The blood sea was the foundation of Mingi. Now that the danger of destruction was right in front of him, he could no longer remain calm. Fear grew in his heart. Logically speaking, the blood sea and the sun star were both formed by Pangu's body. There should be no difference between them. However, things did not work that way. As soon as the sun star was born, it merged with the extreme yang of heaven and earth. How could the blood sea compare to it? The 5 elements sacred beasts each occupied an extreme place and had the power of a saint. As one of the 2 extremes of yin and yang, the sun star was not necessarily weaker than them. It might even be stronger. Moreover, the sun star shone on all things and benefited all living beings in the untainted land. This was a great act of merit. Merit would descend every day. Since the creation of heaven and earth, the sun star had absorbed a lot of merit. It was as if it was becoming stronger every day. Now, after countless years of strengthening, no one knew how terrifying the sun star was. The Eastern Emperor has actually refined the sun star. No wonder he could still have the upper hand when facing the 2 saints alone. So that's how it is. When the mighty figures of the untainted land saw this scene, they immediately understood where the Eastern Emperor's confidence came from. With the sun star, if the saints did not use the power of the heavenly Tao, how could they be a match for the Eastern Emperor Tai? However, the Eastern Emperor was the emperor destined by the heavens. He did not lose the favor of the heavens. How could the heavenly Tao allow the saints to use the power of the heavenly Tao to bully him? In the end, the power of the heavenly Tao was only an external force, not the saints' own power. When the saints used it, they could not use it as they wished like their own power. For those who were blessed by the heavens, the power of the heavenly Tao was almost useless. Refining the sun star, Tai has a good plan. If he really succeeds, he will probably become the primordial chaos Daluo Jingxian. However, it's not that easy to completely refine the sun star. The heavenly Tao will not allow it. You're tuning in to the Wisdom Diary YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.